Hey everybody, how are we all doing? My name is Jamie Dean, and tonight we are celebrating the end of the year 2024. We made it. Well done everybody, pats on the back all around. So I'm going to do a bit of a tier list tonight, taking a look at every game that I played this year. There is a lot of them, so we're going to not waste a lot of time screwing around at the start here. We've got to get straight into it because this is what we're dealing with. I've played almost 80 games this year. I kind of made it a mission this year to play as many games as I could. Like new stuff that was new to me, revisiting old classics, fixing holes in my gaming, what would you call it? My gaming library, my breadth of knowledge that are lacking, that are missing, some obvious omissions that I wanted to go back and patch up. And I think I've done a pretty good job of doing that this year. And hence this this ridiculous patchwork that you see before you now. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get in and we're going to rank them. We're going to rank every single one of these games and what I thought of them. There's some I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because they were either inconsequential or I didn't play very much of them or I just didn't like them. But there are some big heavy hitters in here that I do want to talk about. So they're where I'm going to spend most of the time yapping. So let's get on up here and we can get started, I think. Now, if the music is coming through too loud, just say so and I will turn it down. Alright, so we're going to get through this, we're going to rank them. At the end of the stream, if there's time, I'm going to try and get through it as quickly as I can. If there's time at the end, we might hang out and just have a little bit of a chat about the year. And I also want to talk a little bit about the changes that are going to be coming next year. I guess in part for the channel, but specifically for me and the way I'm going about gaming. There's going to be some big changes for myself going forward into how I approach video games. But we'll talk about that when we get there at the end. Alright, let's kick on with our first pick. So, I kicked off the year this year. Man, what a way to start the year. Advance Wars I started with. Man, Advance Wars, straight up, out of the gate, is an S tier game. Boom. No question at all. This is the Advance Wars 1 and 2 remakes that came out on the Switch recently. I think it was actually this year that they came out, or maybe 2023. End of 2023. I love Advance Wars. Always have. I love every iteration of the series. This is a fantastic remake of the first two games. If you haven't played Advance Wars before, it's like a turn-based tactical combat game. And yeah, it's great. It's really, really good. I adore it. I saw in the new year, I think it was day 1 of 2024, I spent playing Advance Wars with my buddy Alan, and that was just a wonderful day. So yeah, S tier game, love it. Really, really, really good. Right, let's continue with Dredge. Man, Dredge. Okay, so Dredge. I wanted to like Dredge a lot. I loved the premise of it. I loved the look of it. I love, I just like the atmosphere of it. It's such a cool idea for a game. It's a, what's the word? A really, it subverts expectations, I think, quite a bit, Dredge. Which is really, really cool. You don't see enough different things being done in the gaming industry these days. Dredge did that. However, unfortunately, I hit a point in Dredge where I just basically got eaten. My ship just got destroyed. And there was no, like, checkpoint or anything like that. I had to restart from the last time I had saved the game. And that was a long, 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 long way prior to when I got eaten. And I had to go all the way back to start from there, and that pissed me right off, and I didn't pick it up again after that. So for that reason, I probably have to put Dredge, sadly, down around in the B, I want to say. Man, it really needs just like some sort of checkpoint system, some sort of autosave system in there, I think. to make sure you don't waste as much time as what I felt like I did waste. I think there is like checkpoint and autosave systems, but they just need to be a bit closer together, I think. Because, yeah, there was no avoiding my untimely demise, and when it happened, I lost a lot of progress. And if there's one thing that pisses me right off, it is wasting my time. Like, I don't have a lot of it to waste, and so when it gets wasted, that's like one of my absolute pet peeves by a long stretch. So yeah, I'll put Dredge in B tier. Could have been an A tier, I think, with a better checkpoint system. Hey Josh, what's happening? Thanks for the stuff you do. Oh, thanks, man. No, you're most welcome. I'm more than happy to oblige. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching. Advance Wars is fantastic. Absolutely. Every time you dock, it autosaves and Dredge. That's right. Yep. I think I've just gone a long time without docking. I think it just needs to, I don't know. It needs something else, I feel, because you can go for quite a long time without docking and Dredge. Alright, Alex the Kid in Miracle World. Or Alex Kidd, sorry, not Alex the Kid. Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Man, I went back and revisited this recently, this year, obviously, because that's the tier list we're doing. I played this in a video on the channel. I went into this expecting to have the rose-tinted glasses just, like, smashed into my eyeballs with this one. It's a game that's very special to me from a long time ago in my childhood, obviously, on the Sega Master System. Only game I ever had on the Sega Master System was the one that was built into the system. And I loved it back then, but I wasn't 100% sure I was going to like it anymore now. So I thought I'd play it as a bit of a giggle, but I actually really enjoyed playing it. I had a really fucking good time. It's just got such a unique atmosphere to it, I think. Nothing else looks or feels like Alex Kidd in all the 2D platformers that I've played. And admittedly, I haven't played a huge breadth of them, but I'm aware of a lot. I've seen a lot. I've watched them played, and none of them, I don't know, there's something about Alex Kidd that's just very unique, I think. So I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's going to go probably, I've got to be really, because I feel like we're going to have a really top-heavy list this year. I've played a lot of really good stuff. I think it's an A. I think it goes in A for me. Yeah, that's like a core memory unlock kind of game for me, Alex Kidd. Really, really good stuff. Diablo 2 Remastered. Now, I had this on my tier list last year, and I am doing a playthrough of it right now on the channel with my buddies Alan and Anna. So I'm not re-ranking it. This is specifically here because this year, for the first time, I played the Switch version. Now, man, if you went back and told the year 2000 Jamie, who was just head over heels in love with this game, that not only would you still be playing it in nearly 25 years' time, but you would be able to play it on a handheld console and take it with you anywhere you went, I wouldn't have believed you. That would have been just blown my mind completely. So when it got released for Switch, I had to try it out just to see what it was like. So I picked it up this year, gave it a go. It's surprisingly good. Like, really surprisingly good on Switch. The skill system is much better, much easier to use because you can map the skills to the face buttons instead of just having your left and right click. And I know in the PC game you can have like the F1 bindings on the key, but then like the F1s are just such a random, you know, like they're not a very conveniently placed key to hit for skills. But the face buttons, like being able to map the face buttons to the skills just really changes the way you play the game quite significantly. It doesn't turn it into a different game, but it certainly brings it more in line with a modern Diablo title, right? It updates the gameplay without really doing anything other than just giving you some extra control options. But it's just amazing how much of a difference that makes. I think my only hang-up with Remastered on the Switch was that it is very tedious to manage the inventory, as all ARPGs are when you play them on console. I find it's just you're never going to get the smoothness of a mouse being able to you know, buy and sell items, move stuff around, play inventory Tetris. That does get tiresome on console. But other than that, I think it's an amazing port. I think it's been really well done. It's, I think, a more relaxing play than the PC version. I already find Diablo 2 a very relaxing game to play, a very chill kind of game. because the pace gets slowed down with the inventory management, it becomes even more of a chill game on the console. So, you know, whether you like that or not, I don't know. But I really liked it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I think I'm going to put that... It's probably going to go... I feel like about there. It's definitely an A. Because it's, you know, it's fucking Diablo 2. Of course it's an A. Diablo is G tier. G for gambling. Yeah, that's it, Josh. I need to make an extra tier just for Diablo 2. It's not a problem. I can stop anytime I want. Yeah, I feel like it probably lives about there. I'll put it there for now. I can reshuffle it around. Like, you all know that Diablo 2 is an S tier game for me. So this is specifically the Switch port of Resurrected. Very, very good. Was very surprised in how good. I might even just, like, should I bump it? Man, they're like neck and neck, really. Like, I think the inventory management just drops it down a little bit for me. Alright, Vampire Survivors. So, I played... What did I play last year? I played Hollow Cure last year. I played, what's the Diablo-like one? Halls of Torment. I played that as well last year. They were both very popular, and I had never played Vampire Survivors. You know, the OG that these games are based on. So, this year, I went back and played Vampire Survivors for the first time, and I think even though those other, and there's other ones out there now too that I can't remember off the top of my head, but those games have iterated on that formula quite a bit, but I actually like the original Vampire Survivors better than any of those subsequent games that sort of like are aping its formula. I still think it does what it does better than its impersonators. I had a surprisingly good time with it. Now, I don't love that style of game. It's not my favorite genre in the world. But for a bit of fun, and especially a bit of co-op fun, yeah, Vampire Survivors was really great. I had a really good time with it. I'm quite eager to check out the Castlevania content for it, actually. So I need to get on and do that when I get some time. I'm probably going to put Vampire Survivors, for me, is probably going to be high B, I reckon. I think it'll sit about there. And I'll see how I feel about that. But yeah, really solid. Really, really good time. And it's something you can just pick up and play. I think not having to worry about aiming in addition to just moving. Whereas in Vampire Survivors, like all the other, like Hollow Cure, Halls of Torment, you have to aim as well as move, which really gives it that sort of bullet hell feel. And I'm not a huge fan of bullet hell games. Whereas Vampire Survivors, you've just got to move. It's purely movement. And I just think, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but just taking the aiming out of it, I don't know, it just made it a better experience for me, especially in like a pick up and just go kind of game. Okay, Omega Strikers. This is one I just played very briefly. It's a sports game, like a soccer. If you crossed Overwatch with soccer from a sort of isometric perspective, that's kind of what Omega Strikers is. It was okay. I had a bit of fun with it while I tried it out. I didn't think it was the best thing in the world. It'll probably be about a C. I didn't put a terrible amount, like it didn't compel me to keep playing it and invest a bunch of time into it. The online matchmaking and the online system in general was a bit janky, I felt. But, you know, if you like sports games, if you like, you know, again, hero shooters like Overwatch, and you always wanted to try a mashup of those two, I'd say Omega Strikers is worth a look. It's almost like, you know what it's like? It's like, probably less like soccer and more like air hockey, I think. It's like Overwatch crossed with air hockey. That's probably a better description of Omega Strikers. But yeah, fun enough. A good way to whittle away a half hour here and there, but nothing I'm going to get super invested in. Lightseekers was the next thing that I tried out. So this is an old card game. I believe it used to be a physical card game as well that is now dead and gone. But I played the digital version of this. And the reason I played this is because I got this. I don't know if the camera will show this. I got Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions this year to just give a whirl. And I really liked this system. And so I went and tried Lightseekers because this game, Warhammer Champions, is based on the Lightseekers mechanics, right? And I have to say, I liked Lightseekers a hell of a lot more than I liked Warhammer Champions. This is a good card game, really good. If you are into digital card games, Hearthstone, etc., I would absolutely recommend checking Lightseekers out. It has a really unique mechanic where every time you use a card, it turns and does something different, and then it turns and does something different, and when it gets to a certain point, it's run out of uses and you have to discard it and throw it away. So there's all this kind of like, it's almost like a little bit of a programming game where you're playing cards and trying to set things up for that's going to happen next turn, 2 turns, 3 turns time, that sort of thing. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Had a really good time with it. I'd probably stick it about here, I think. I got I got really hooked on it for a little while there and was just playing it like every night until I managed to extricate myself before I got in too deep. But yeah, really fun little card system. I'm pretty sure it's just a free download from memory, I think, maybe. Don't quote me on that. But I got it on the Switch. The touch screen on the Switch made it really nice to play. Yeah, I'd definitely say give it a go if you haven't. If you like digital card games or you like card games in general, definitely try out Lightseekers. It's worth a shot. All right, 1080 snowboarding. Oh boy. Okay. So this is one of the ones that you're going to notice a little bit of a theme across this list this evening, that there were a lot of games that I played back in the day and didn't really like. And so I wanted to revisit now with like an adult lens and the benefit of, 20 years of maturity, we'll say. And see what I think of those games now. If I like them any better, if I'm just in a better headspace for them, if I can appreciate them in a different way that I just didn't see back then. I did a lot of that this year. 1080 snowboarding was one of them. I did not change my opinion on 1080 snowboarding. I don't get it. I don't understand what the appeal of this game is. I really don't. It's a crap racing game. So like it's on the Nintendo 64, which had a lot of really good racing games. It's only 2-player, so already it's like a shit racing game and you're down 2 players, which can make a racing game, on the Nintendo 64 really fun. So it loses that, right? The only other thing it's got going for it is the trick system, which I just didn't find very interesting or compelling at all. Like I'm not a Tony Hawk's fan at all. I didn't like those games either back in the day. I just don't find it very interesting to try and pull off button combos for points. That just doesn't really, I don't know, just doesn't do anything for me in particular. So, yeah, I had a rough play, which you can go and watch. It's on the channel, and just didn't have a really good time at all. I don't quite understand the love that 1080 gets, and it got so much love. It got so much love back in the day. It was in every fucking Nintendo magazine back in the day. And everyone just seemed to love it except me. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. It's probably going to sit... No, I'll put it there. I'll put it there. It's better than Omega Strikers. Just for the nostalgia, if nothing else. But yeah, definitely down in the C tier for me. Sorry. I know everyone loves it. I know it's a well-loved game, but... just didn't do anything for me on a repeat play. All right, let's have a look at Unravel 2. So this is a game I played with my partner just to try it out. I was looking for something couch co-op, not an easy thing to find anymore. Unravel 2 kept popping up on the list when I was searching for couch co-op games. Just kept getting recommended. So I thought, fuck it, we'll give it a go and see what it's like. I thought it was all right. I think it makes a good first impression. It's a puzzler. So you have to like puzzlers, and you have to go in knowing that it's a puzzler and appreciate that it's going to be a puzzler. And if that's not your cup of tea, then you're probably not going to have a whole lot of fun with it. It was very repetitive, I felt. Like you ended up doing and seeing the same sorts of puzzles over and over again and trying to solve them in the same kinds of ways over and over again. I feel like once you've played like 1 or 2 levels of Unravel, of Unravel 2 specifically, you've kind of played the game. I don't remember how far into it we got, but we both kind of felt the same way after plodding away for a few hours and just thinking like, man, it just feels like we're doing the same thing over and over again, and over and over again and over and over again. So it was all right. I'll probably, it's probably a high C. I'll put it at a high C. We'll stick it there. It wasn't bad. It just like, if it's cheap and you want to couch co-op something with a friend or a partner or a loved one, I'd say definitely give it a go, providing that you don't mind, a fairly simple puzzler. But I think you could play it for an hour and be fairly confident that you've seen what the game has to offer. That's just my feeling on it. Yes, Your Grace. I did not get to put the time into this one that I feel like you needed to really get the most out of it. And the reason for that is that I just kind of got really bored of it really quickly. I could see and appreciate what it was trying to do. You're the king, you're running this kingdom, you're making decisions, you have to make hard decisions for your kingdom that will have consequences and effects down the line. Some of it felt very random. There wasn't, the decision-making part of it was like, that's the meat of the game. But then once you'd made you couldn't just sit there and keep making decisions, go to the next day, keep making decisions. It wanted you to go around and sort of interact with the town and talk to your daughters and talk to your wife and go and visit the soldiers on the wall and none of that it was all just kind of menial, busy work padding it wasn't fun, it wasn't interesting. The making the decisions part was definitely the best part of the game, and I didn't find that part of it super compelling either, if I'm being honest. So I think maybe it gets better if you put more time into it and you can start to see like some of the really big consequences to your decisions if it ends up going that way. But for me, I don't know, it just kind of fell a bit flat. So I think I'm going to put that probably about there. Low C for me. Didn't really do much for me. I found it quite boring. Sky, man. Oh, man. Right. If you've never heard of Sky, I think it's got a subtitle of some sort. Children of the Light or something like that. This is a game from the same studio that made Journey and Abzu. Two games that I just think are fucking out of this world stellar. Really, really good. Love them, love them, love them. So I was really eager when I found out that they had made another game, because I'd never even fucking heard of this game. I didn't even know it existed. But I found this, and I got really excited to try it. Oh, God. Talk about a letdown. Man, this game sucks. This is a shit game, and I don't often say that about games, because a lot of this is just, my opinion, right? I do think this is objectively a shit game. It's like an online MMO-esque microtransaction laden. Think of the experience that you got out of Journey if you played Journey, or Abzu if you've played that. Sky could not be further from that experience if it tried. Like, I still don't quite understand how this was made by the same people that made those games, those incredible games. It doesn't make any sense to me. This is a D tier. This is my first D tier. It was dog shit. It was rubbish. Don't play it. Don't waste your time. Yeah, big letdown. Age of Empires 4. Right. Now, Age of Empires 4 is I like Age of Empires. Age of Empires 2 is one of my favorite games ever. I played so much of that. I still play it every now and then with the Definitive Edition. And I think that's Age of Empires 4's biggest problem, is that Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition exists. And I think that's just a flat-out better implementation of that game. In every possible way, I think. I think it looks better. I think the sprite work and animation work in the Definitive Edition looks better than the 3D graphics of AoE 4. I just found it to be really forgettable. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't spectacular either. It's almost like it did the bare minimum it needed to do to qualify as an Age of Empires entry. That's how it feels. It had a much bigger historical focus. Like, if you play the campaign, they really they really ram home the history, which I really like. That was really, really cool. But the actual gameplay of the game, just, I don't know. It was just kind of meh for me. Like, it was, it was alright. It's okay. It's alright. So I'd probably have to put this one maybe at a low B. Like I said, it's not bad. I played it on Game Pass, so, you know, I got to play it for just what I was already paying for the subscription. But I'm glad I didn't buy it, if that makes sense. I'm glad I was able to just try it as part of that rather than shell out whatever they want for it. Don't know that I would never recommend this over AoE 2 Definitive. Like, if you want to play Age of Empires, for my money, that is still the best way to do it. If you've bought this and haven't played it yet, it's alright. You know, it's worth a shot. It's worth a look. I just don't like it as much as that. Oh boy. Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Right, Sonic. Let's talk about Sonic. So, I had never played Sonic. I'd never played a Sonic the Hedgehog game in my life. I don't like 2D platformers typically. Sonic just looked like, to me, to my untrained eyes, it looked like a mess of a game. Like, just go, 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 and the shit's going off all over the place, and you don't look like you really had a whole lot of control or say in what's going on. So I just kind of avoided it. It was one of those games that, like, look, I know I'm not going to like that, so I just never tried it. But again, came to this year, I wanted to try some classics, some big name heavy hitters that I hadn't played before. Sonic the Hedgehog is absolutely one of those. So it was one of the first ones on my list to have a shot at and see what I thought and see if it could win me over. If you've seen the video, which you can go and watch, you will know that it did not. I found Sonic to be a very bizarre game, like a really weird mix of ideas, sort of all smushed into one game to try and find an identity that was different to Mario at the time, but also not truly able to completely get out from under his shadow. That's how it felt to me to play. There were elements where, like, you know, it's a momentum-based platformer, so right off the bat, that's not my cup of tea. I fucking hate momentum-based platformers. Where it wants you to go fast, the controls want you to go fast, right? The momentum-based controls want you to go, 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 go. But then you sort of, like, hit these areas where it just comes, like, screeching to a grinding halt. And it wants you to do, like, precision-based platforming. And then you want to go, go, go again until you, like, hit a wall and it's like, whoa, 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 stop. Jump on these things across this lava or something like that. And it was just that, like, stop, start, and I just got really frustrated. It was like, make your fucking mind up, because just as I was starting to kind of get used to how the game flowed when it was go fast, it would stop. And then I'd have to completely change how I approach the game to get across some platforming. And by the time I was starting to come to grips with the momentum controls for platforming, then it was like, all right, off you go again, go, go, go. It just had a bit of identity crisis. Now, apparently, this is obviously the very first Sonic the Hedgehog. Apparently, the sequel is much, much, much better. I watched Scott play Sonic and Knuckles. That looked spectacular, like, from a visual perspective. Beautiful, beautiful game. And I would like to try that one. I'd like to try the second one as well, just to see how much different it is. But the first one, oh man, I did not get on with it as well. I found it to be a very frustrating time for me. Sacrilege, I know, sacrilege, but it is what it is. Where am I going to put it in terms of how much I enjoyed games? Look, I'll say this for it. It was better than 1080 snowboarding. So there you go. There's something from a Nintendo fanboy. I'd probably put it... Or... I'd probably stick it there. I think that's about where it would be for me. With the caveat that I would very much, like, despite not loving it, I can say now that I've played it, and I would still very much like to try its sequels, its successors, and see if they, if I get on with them any better. It's not the only Sonic game I played this year, though. We'll get to that in a little bit. Right, moving on. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. This was good. This was a good Metroidvania, but it was really long. Like, it seemed like there was a lot of time spent where not a lot was going on, if that kind of makes sense. Like, the exploration element to some of the beacons of the genre, like Super Metroid especially, is a big one for this. Hollow Knight's a big one for this. The exploration element, I just didn't feel was really superly there with Prince of Persia. I don't know why that was. Maybe it was the level design. Maybe it was the way the game looked visually. I don't know. It just the exploring was some of my favorite part of Metroidvanias, and I didn't find it here in Prince of Persia. The combat was good. I enjoyed the combat. I enjoyed the movement. Getting around was really nice. There was a lot about it that I liked. But playing it, I don't know how to describe it. Playing it almost kind of felt like work in a way. Like it was just kind of like this mundane kind of grind. I don't know. It just was. It didn't elicit a lot of joy. I'll say that. So as for where I'd rank it, oh man, maybe. God, I'm gonna get crucified if I put this above Sonic. Did I like it more than Sonic? I probably liked it about as... No, because Sonic frustrated the shit out of me. Prince of Persia didn't. I was just kind of bored playing it. I wasn't bored playing Sonic. They're probably about the same rank for different reasons. We'll say that. It's not... It's probably a really unfair ranking to put this here, to be fair. Look, it probably better deserves to be here, because it's not bad. It wasn't a bad game. It was just, it just lacked a bit of spark. It lacked a bit of, like, a bit of something, a bit of life to, you know, really make it stand out. So I'll stick it there. Okay, Half-Life. I played Half-Life, can you believe it, for the first time this year. I'd never played Half-Life before. Crazy. But this year, I rectified that with Dom from the channel, who is a massive Half-Life fan. So he introduced me to this and sat in with me while I had a shot at this. I loved it. I loved this game. This was really fucking good. And what surprised me about it was how good it still is now in terms of being like an atmospheric sort of narrative first-person shooter. Like this, I can see why people hold this game in such high regard, because when this came out, there was like nothing like it. Nothing else had been done like it. It would have just been so out there crazy batshit nuts when it released, and so different from any other shooter that was out there. I can see why it's got the reputation it does. Yeah, I had a real good time with Half-Life. I'm so glad that I can say that I've played it now. I would definitely put this up as an A tier for me. It would probably sit maybe about there. I genuinely had a really good time. I found it quite difficult from memory. Did I find this difficult? There were parts of it certainly that I found difficult. But just the atmosphere of it. It was, and the narrative storytelling, and yeah, I've been meaning to get back to it. I just haven't had the time, but I would like to get back to it at some stage, because I genuinely really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll stick it there. Definitely an A tier game, for sure. Jusant. So, Jusant is... how do I describe this? It's a little indie game where you're basically climbing... It's like a parkour kind of game. It's about climbing an enormous spire. And the controls are kind of made to replicate that climbing experience. Like, you have to use, like, the shoulder buttons like one shoulder button is your left, reaching out and grabbing with your left hand. The other shoulder button is reaching out, grabbing with your right. It's about navigating the terrain and trying to find the best path to get from A to B without running out of stamina, using pitons at different intervals so that if you do slip and fall, you don't fall too far. If that sounds like your kind of thing, I definitely recommend giving Jusant a go. I think I liked it, just for the record, I did enjoy Jusant, but I think my problem with it was that it didn't do enough different. Like, it was a bit like Unravel 2. Like, once you've kind of started playing the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the game, I kind of feel like you've seen the game, and it's just going to be more of that in slightly different configurations. So I did quit out of it after a little while. I came back to it for, I played this for a little while, actually, like a week or two consecutively on most days, because I love mountain climbing. It's a big hobby of mine. And so having that replicated in a game was really cool. But yeah, it just didn't do enough gameplay-wise to keep me interested and invested. I'd love if they released a Jusant 2 and gave us a little bit of something different as you climb the spire. I'd be all over it. I think it would be really, really good. So I'd love to see them take another shot at this. But as it is, it's probably, I'd say, maybe a low B. I'll put it there for now. But yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, I would definitely recommend at least giving it a try, right? Pokemon Black. So I'd never played Pokemon Black. I think now that I have played Pokemon Black, the only gen of Pokemon that I haven't played is Gen 3, Ruby Sapphire. I've never played those. But I hadn't played Black and White either. So I play a Pokemon game. I try and play a Pokemon game every year. It's sort of like my Christmas thing. There's something about Pokemon that just goes hand in hand with Christmas for me. I don't know why. Whenever Christmas starts rolling around, I start feeling like playing Pokemon. And whenever I play Pokemon, I start feeling like it's Christmas, So I played Black this year. I loved it. I thought this was great. This is a game that I very much poo-pooed when it first came out. With the monster designs, and to be honest, I don't even remember a lot of the reason why that I didn't think I would like it when it released. But anyway, I was a fucking idiot, because this is a great Pokemon game, a really great Pokemon game. I think the story put me off. I think that was a big part of it, actually, back in the day. But when I play it now, the story is not as overbearing as, I think there's a lot of media attention that it got and still gets occasionally for its deep and rich sort of moral dilemma narrative. It's fucking not that at all, man. It's barely there, honestly. And that's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing. Yeah, fantastic game. Really, really good. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll probably stick it. That's a very high A for me. Definitely. Yeah, glad I've played it now. And in fact, one of the reasons it was so controversial is because it did the region-only Pokedex. And that's why a lot of people hated it. That was my favorite thing about Pokemon Black. That's why I loved it, is because it only had Pokemon of that region. So everything you found was new and different and interesting. They never will do it, but I want them to do that again. I think that should be the standard for every entry in the Pokemon series, is to just have region-only Pokedex, so that it's just all new, sort of bring the wonder back from Red and Blue. Remember the first time you played those, right? And you didn't know what anything was. I haven't felt that in a Pokemon game for a long time. Black and White brought that back for the very first time since those original games. So, yeah, big A+. Loved it. In contrast to that, Lost Castle. Lost Castle, I'm going to chuck in a D. It's probably... Well, it's not as bad as Sky, but it was bad. This was just like I can barely even remember it, to be honest. It was like a side-scrolling, roguelike, brawler kind of game. It just didn't do anything interesting. It was forgettable. I didn't love the art style. Yeah, I played it. I played it for a little bit and was like, okay, I don't think I need to ever touch that again. Yeah, that's all I can... I can barely even remember what it was. And that says something. Snowboard Kids. I love Snowboard Kids. This is one of my favorite games from the Nintendo 64. And I played it again this year and had a blast with it just as much as I did back then. Yes, it is aged for sure, but it's still just joy. It's joy in a cartridge. It's such a great little game. It's definitely going to be an A tier for me. I probably would stick it about there. I feel something like that, maybe. Yeah, it's really, I really love it. It's a very simple game. It's a very straightforward game. A take on the Mario Kart genre, the kart racing genre, but it does enough differently that I think it stands out. If you like those games, I think you would like this. It's fairly content light, I think is its only problem. And the other problem is obviously getting a hold of it and being able to play it. It's not an easy game to find anymore, and it's not available in any digital system, you know, unless you play your perfectly legitimate backup copy. That's probably the best way to get a hold of it, I'd say. But yeah, great little kart racer. I really thoroughly enjoy it. Really, really good one. And a lot of fond memories around it too, which is why I wanted to play it again. Mario Kart 64, that's another one of my absolute favorites that I played this year. It's still good. It's still good. Still a banger. This is such a special game to me. This is the game that made me fall in love with video games. And I was a little bit worried that it wasn't going to hold up, but it absolutely does. This is top S tier game. I wouldn't recommend it over a modern Mario Kart game like Mario Kart 8. I just wouldn't. It's technically not as good an offering. Obviously, they've had like 20 plus years of development, much more, 25, 30, nearly 30 years of development between Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart 8. Obviously, the modern games are going to be better technically, but this carries so much nostalgia for me, and it's so special. Like this is like a real, like, deep core in my heart kind of memory game. That it was never going to be anything other than S tier, but it was still a lot of fun to play. It was still, you know, I still had a really good time with it. It's still it's still Mario Kart, and for its first bash at being a 3D Mario Kart, like you can see the bones of Mario Kart 64 are still there in every iteration of the game that's come ever since, and that's pretty impressive. Speaking of pretty impressive, Superman 64. Has anyone else ever played this? I had never played this. Being a self-confessed Nintendo 64 fanboy, this got panned hard. Even back in the day, it got panned hard. So I never played it. I was never a big Superman fan either. So I just, you know, it's a shit game featuring a character I don't particularly love all that much. I never went out of my way to play it. But it's one of those games that's like, when I said I wanted to go back and play like some classics, I feel like it is a classic. It's a classic for all the wrong reasons, but it's a classic nonetheless. And so it was on my list to take a shot at. You know, what is often considered one of the worst video games ever made. I mean, I've got to have a look at that. I've got to have a try of that. And I did with Scott this year. And yeah, it's bad. Like, it's a bad game. But I didn't feel like it was that bad, okay? Like, I didn't think it was as bad as what everybody makes it out to be. Yes, it's dog shit. Yes, it controls like a fucking brick. It looks awful. It plays awful. The levels are terrible. The gameplay's terrible. It's all bad. Top to bottom, it's all bad. But I feel like I was expecting something like, I don't know. I feel like I've played worse games in my life than Superman 64. And I had a really good time with Scott playing this. Like, genuinely had a really fun time. And I think I think I wrote in my journal this year when I was keeping track of the games I played, that I think there's something to be said for that, right? Like, that it's not always about what you play, but who you play it with that can make or break a game. And I can take something as dog shit as Superman 64, played in the right mindset with the right company, can still have an absolutely fantastic time. And we did. Now, as for where I'm going to rank the game, look, I had more fun with this than I did Lost Castle or Sky. So there's that. I think I had more fun with it than Yes, Your Grace. I had more fun with it than Omega Strikers. Look, I'd be... This is such a disingenuous ranking because this is so much worse of a game than either of these. It's definitely worse than Lost Castle. I don't think it's worse than Sky. But it's a worse game than these, but I had more fun playing it than I did those games. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It would, if I was going purely based on fun, right, and nothing else, if I was only talking about fun, where would it live? It might even live up here if I'm purely talking fun, okay? But I can't completely judge it on fun alone, although that is a large part of it. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy putting that up there. It's such a shit game. It's like watching a bad movie when you're tipsy with some friends, right? Like, that's a good time, even though it's a shit movie. This is very much like that, or it was for me. If I'd have sat there and played this by myself, I would not have. It would be down here for sure, no question. But playing it with Scott gets it up into the C bracket. And if I was being really genuinely honest with myself, it would probably push it higher than a lot of other games that are currently above it. Yeah. An experience worth trying if you can get into that situation and that mindset with friends, I think. I wouldn't say don't play it. It's go in with an open mind. It's not as woefully awful as it's bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. Unicorn Overlord. I didn't play a whole lot of this. Really, I've only played the demo, but it was a fascinating demo system that they had where you could play, I feel like it was a certain amount of hours of the game. Like, it wasn't like a gated demo. It was like, you can play as far into the game as you can get in X hours. I can't remember how many hours it was. And it was a decent amount of hours, like 10, probably more than that. Which is, I've never seen a demo done like that before, where you basically got the whole game, and it's just time-gated more than anything. Very interesting. Interesting tactical game, a huge game, massive fucking game. I'm never going to get back to it. It's so enormous, but it's in the genre of game that I like, which is that turn-based tactical combat. It does some different things with that formula in terms of like positioning and the way you rank your units in a battle. Some fight better from the back rank, some fight better from the front rank, that sort of thing. Like, that plays a part, and where in that rank that you put them. And then you basically, like, you line all your troops up, you slot them in where you want them to go, and then you press play and you see how the battle goes. You don't have a lot of agency during the battle. It's more getting the pieces in place and then seeing what happens. Really interesting idea. I'd love to have the time to play more of it because I did enjoy it. I just know that I never will. Where would I rank Unicorn Overlord? Probably somewhere there. I'm going to say there. I think about there is about right. I think this is a game, if I had a spare 80 plus hours, and I knew I had no other commitments, this is the kind of game I could see myself just like pouring into and like completely no lifing, because it's just my kind of thing. But yeah, from what I played, very, very solid. If that sounds interesting to you, 100% would recommend trying it out. And beautiful looking game too, like really, really cool art as well. Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. This was one of my biggest disappointments of the year. I did not like Ni no Kuni, and I wanted so badly to love this game. I was so excited to play it. This is another one that I deliberately tracked down because I'd never tried it and had always wanted to play it, had heard really good things about it, knew it was popular. And so this year I was like, yep, I'm trying it out. I bought a physical copy and everything. Oh man, I just bounced off it so hard. The controls were super clunky. The combat was terrible. Really, really bad. A beautiful game. The art is amazing. The cutscenes are absolutely gorgeous. The writing is really good. I love so much about it. It's really heartbreaking to me that I didn't end up liking it because I was so primed to love this game, and I just didn't. Where am I going to put this thing? God. Maybe... See, the problem with Superman 64 is now it is acting as a benchmark. Like, anything I put below it is just going to get crucified. I feel like it would go there. Yeah, I feel like there for me. Man. Oh, man. I've heard the sequel has real-time combat. Totally different story. Set in the same world, but different time period. So you don't have to have played the first one to be able to play the second and enjoy it and understand it. It's got, yeah, real-time action combat. I still would like to try, because I bought them both. Like, I was so convinced that I was going to love it that I bought them both at the same time. And when I didn't love this one, I was like, oh no. So I might still go back and try the second one if that's true and the combat system is different, because that was my main issue with this, was that woefully bad combat system. Just terrible. Okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is an interesting one for me, because I love Final Fantasy VII. Really nostalgic game. I mean, that's everybody fucking loves Final Fantasy VII. We're listening to it right now. I was really unsure about... I was simultaneously... It's sort of like how I felt about Diablo 4. Like, actually playing it. Like, I was excited for it to exist, and the possibilities, but also very cautious, I suppose. Now, I haven't played through all of this. I was sort of playing it along with my daughter. So we haven't gotten... I couldn't tell you exactly how far through the game we are. We're not a huge chunk of the way through. We're a decent amount, but less than halfway, I'd say. But I think it's great. I think it's really, really great. I think I did such a good job reimagining that game. I don't love the story twist. Like, I'm going to be honest, I'm one of the purists that would have rather they just straight up remade Final Fantasy VII beat for beat and not change the story at all and just kept it all the way it was, but just give it to us in this beautiful updated graphics and the new combat system that's really cool. I would have liked that a lot more. I think, especially Sephiroth. Like, Sephiroth is such an iconic villain because of the way he was handled in Final Fantasy VII, because of the show don't tell storytelling, the way he was introduced, like, just very slowly. You sort of like hearing whispers about him and talk about him and rumors about him, seeing his impact around the world way, way, way before you ever actually run into him and come into contact with him and see him on screen for the first time. And when you do see him on screen for the first time, he lives up to all the build up, right? Whereas in the remake, he's just like, boom, right there. Like, first, like, fucking, I don't know what it is, like half hour or something. It's just, bam, Sephiroth. There you go. So I didn't love that. I didn't love a lot of the tweaks, but I love a lot about it. And in fact, playing remake reminded me how much I genuinely do love the original, right? It made me go back and take another look at how I felt about the original and understand that, man, you really do like this game. Like, you weren't sure that you did for a long time, but playing this reminded me, no, you fucking love the original game. Now, where am I going to put this? It's fucking good, though. Like, this is A tier, right? This is no question that this is A tier. I'd say that this is probably going to sit maybe there. We'll say there. I think that's probably about right for me for now. I could see it potentially climbing higher as we play through it more. But for the moment, that's where it'll live. But yeah, really, really good. Like, incredibly good game. Really, really good. Another incredibly good game. Super Mario Bros. 3. Another classic that I had never played before. Had avoided because I don't like the genre, don't like the games. So I'd never tried it. Tried it this year. Look, again, I don't like the genre. I don't like momentum-based platformers. I don't like 2D platformers. I don't like a lot of Mario games. It's just not my cup of tea. I went into this expecting to hate it. Like, almost guaranteed to hate it. And I didn't. Like, I actually had a surprisingly fun time with Super Mario Bros. 3. I didn't think it was like the fucking be-all and end-all of video games, but I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I can see why people hold this game in such high regard. We'll say that. So for me, if I put anywhere other than here, Sam's going to crucify me. So it doesn't matter where I put it, because it's not going there. For me, I'd probably put it here, I think. I think that's where we... And you got to understand, like, for me, I thought this was going to be like a F tier game, like way off the bottom. I went into this expecting to hate it, and I didn't. I had a very frustrating time. Don't get me wrong, you can go and watch the video. There's a lot of swearing, but I got a lot of joy out of it, much more so than I thought I would. So yeah, I think that's probably where it would go. Hot Shot Racing. This is an interesting racing game that I played that is all about drifting. If you like drifting in your racing games, you need to try Hot Shot Racing. It is all about the drift. It takes a bit of getting used to with the control scheme, but I had a really good time with it. You sort of get into a bit of a flow state with it. In drifting everywhere, because you've got a boost, and the only way to fill up your boost meter is by drifting. So you're trying to drift around every possible corner that you can. The controls are really floaty. They encourage you to drift. They want you to drift. And so it's kind of like drift, boost, drift, boost, drift, boost. Well worth a shot. If you like racing games, you like arcade racing games. I fucking love arcade racing games. They're difficult to find, I think, these days. Hot Shot is a good one that... Yeah, I picked up for pretty cheap from memory on the Switch, and yeah, had a really good time with. I would probably rank that one. I'd probably stick that about there, I reckon. Yeah, good, solid drifter. Gets hard too, very hard. Alex Kidd DX. So this, I played this because I wanted to try out the remake to Alex Kidd in Miracle World, like the remaster. I was hoping that this would be fantastic, and I hated it. I don't know what it was. I just really did not like this game. It's beautiful. It's not bad. Like, it's literally just a reskinned Alex Kidd. But there was just something about it that just felt off. Like, it didn't feel right to control. It didn't have the iconic, even though it's a beautiful sort of like 2D cel-shaded kind of art style, it didn't feel like Alex Kidd. Like, such a big part of the original Alex Kidd was how it looked, those like garishly vibrant colors, and without those, it just kind of lost a bit. The remastered soundtrack wasn't quite as good. Yeah, I did not get on with it. I'd probably stick it like way down here. I had more fun with Superman 64, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, did not enjoy Alex Kidd DX at all. I would recommend the original over that any day of the week. Golf Story. Man, Golf Story is another very similar one to Ni no Kuni, in that I really wanted to love this. I was primed to love it. I'd heard really good things about it. It looked fantastic. The reason I don't love it is not because of anything to do with the gameplay of the game. It's the technical hang-up of the game. I played this on the Switch. The loading times for this game are obnoxious. They are ridiculously long. And there's several of them to actually get into your save file and continue playing the game. And I'm not talking like 60 seconds to... I'm talking like 5-6 minutes of load time. It's insanity. So this is a game I wish I could play, because I think I'd really like it. But I just... You know, if I have to start a game, walk away, go and do something, come back, check if it's finished loading. No, it's not. Go away, do something else, come back. And that's crazy to me. That's insane. It's never going to get any traction with me for that. So it's probably going to go here. What I did play when I got into the game was good. But yeah, they need to do some patching. Something needs to happen there to fix that to fix the load times, because that was crazy. And like I said, there's multiples of them. Ow, my eyes, gee. No, you're not liking what you're seeing? Don't make me report you to YouTube for this. No, what don't you agree with? What don't you agree with, G? It'll be Super Mario Bros. 3, of course. What am I even asking for? Hey, look, a high B for Super Mario Bros. 3 is pretty fucking good for me. I thought you'd be impressed, to be honest. I actually thought you'd come in and go, wow, well done. Round of applause. Tough crowd. Inside. So this is a game made by the people who made Limbo. Inside is a infinitely better game than Limbo. Really interesting game, this one. A side-scrolling narrative game that does... It's completely silent. There's no dialogue. There's no text boxes. There's no nothing. It's like a silent film, and you're trying to work out what the fuck is going on in the story of this game. And let me tell you, by the end, it goes to some weird fucking places, man. Like, really... bizarre shit that you will not see coming. I certainly did it, and the people I played it with certainly didn't. There were a lot of a lot of confused and shocked exclamations when we played this one together. But yeah, really good. It's a harrowing game, man. Like, this is I said it at the time, like, it's a good game, but I don't know if I'm having fun. Is it a fun game? I don't know that it is a fun game. In the same way that, I don't know, like The Shawshank Redemption is not a fun movie. It's a good movie, but it's not a fun movie, right? This is very similar. It's a very similar feeling to that, right? In terms of, like, it's just crushing. Like, it just wrings you out mentally and emotionally. Like, you have to be in a specific type of mindset, I think, or be playing it with people so you can kind of share that load a little bit and pass the controller around. Playing it just solo on my own, I don't know how long I'd be able to play it for before I'd have to take a break just to, I don't know, give myself a reprieve. Well worth looking at. A fascinating piece of game design. Just not super replayable for me. Where would I rank it? I'd probably stick it... Ooh, man. Maybe there. Maybe there. It's very good. Definitely recommend trying it out. And I think the less you know going into it, the better it is. Super Mario Bros. 3 S+. I know it's your S+, G. I know. This is my S+ for me, okay? So anyway, Inside. Check it out. If you want to see something pretty much unlike anything else you've ever played and ever seen before, Inside will give you that experience, I guarantee it. Old Man's Journey. This was a story, another like narrative experience. They're the type of games that I really gravitate towards if they're good. I get really invested in them. They're nice and short. You can digest them in usually about sort of 3 hours in one sitting sometimes. Old Man's Journey looked to do the same sort of thing. I did not like it. It's very pretty. It's gorgeous, but it's incredibly shallow. I didn't feel like it had very much to say. The narrative was super cliche. Yeah, just didn't get on with Old Man's Journey at all. I'd probably stick it down in the D, unfortunately. Sadly. Streets of Rage 4, however, was an absolute banger. I loved this game. I love a good beat-em-up. This is, technically speaking, one of the best beat-em-ups I think I've ever played, for sure. It's gorgeous. The soundtrack is fucking awesome. Yeah, not much bad to say about Streets of Rage. This is an A-tier game, maybe. Where would I put you? I'd probably stick it there, I think. Definitely in the A's. Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. If you love side-scrolling beat-em-ups and you like retro, old-school beat-em-up and you haven't played Streets of Rage 4, what the fuck are you even doing? Go and get it. Go and play it. You will love it. I guarantee it. Burnout Paradise. I'm a big Burnout fan. I love the Burnout series, all the old school Burnout series. I think I've played all of the old retro ones, Burnout 3 being my favorite. I had never played Burnout Paradise. Dom loved it. Dom spoke quite highly of it. I saw it cheap. I grabbed it. I thought I'd give it a go. Did not like it. Sorry, Dom. I didn't like the open world, like, I like my racing games to be very clean, right? Like where you get in, you pick a race, you jump into the race, you finish it, you jump out, you're done. That's the kind of experience I like in my arcade races. Burnout Paradise, I think, is something that I would have liked when I had more time to spare on games, where I could just cruise around in a open world city and just look around. The city was fucking barren of life, so it's like a deserted city for a start. And in order to get into a race of any kind, you have to drive around the city to find one. So there's not like a menu that you can just choose, because there's different types of races in the game. If you want to race a specific type of race, you have to go and find it. Super fucking annoying. Yeah, I did not like it at all. I'd probably stick it... Oh, God. Is this another worse than Super Mario 64 game? It's not, technically. It's not. But again, fun factor. Fuck. I'd probably stick it... We'll stick it there. Well, maybe there, because it was better than Ni no Kuni. Yeah, didn't get on with it at all. It's one I can definitely see myself liking 20, 30 years ago, right? Like, if it had come out then, and I had have had access to it then and played it then, I can see me thinking, like, this was just the greatest thing ever made. But now, it was just, it wasted my time. And we talked about it at the start. If a game wastes my time, I'm done. I'm out of there. I've got shit to do, man. Pepper Grinder. Gee, you'd like Pepper Grinder. I don't know if you've tried this one out. This is a great little 2D platformer with a really unique, interesting mechanic where you can drill through different parts of the level. With the drill, like, how do I describe this? It's like you're barely in control. Like it's a very fast game, and you don't have a whole lot of. That's not true. Because I think a lot of it was a skill issue with me. It's not that you don't have a whole lot of control over the drill. It's just that the reaction, you really need to be like 3 steps ahead of where you want to go. Which I wasn't. But I loved it. This is probably the only game this year that I stayed up past midnight playing, because I just was so engrossed in it and lost track of time. I don't think that's happened with any other game that I've played this year, except for Pepper Grinder. I just got hooked on it for a little bit, even though it's phenomenally difficult, like really, really difficult. You haven't played it, G? Oh, man. Go and check it out, man. I'd be very interested to see what you think of it. Yeah, great little 2D platformer. I'm probably going to stick it... It's definitely... I think it's probably a B tier for me, personally. It was better than Dredge. I think there for me. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. I'm just going to zoom out. Click. One touch so we can see the pics. Alright, yeah, really good. Pepper Grinder. Was very popular when it released too. Like, a lot of people love it. And I can see why. It's just super hard. Really, really, really difficult. Shredder's Revenge. Man, what a nostalgia punch this game was. This straight up replaced Turtles in Time for me. Turtles in Time being my favorite Turtles game for ever since I played it, really. Shredder's Revenge is just such a fucking love letter, man. It's so well done. There's so many Easter eggs, so many winks to fans. The aesthetic of it just screams 90s, like the 90s cartoon, 90s arcades. Ah, it's so well done. It's so well done. The only thing that holds it back for me is it's really button mashy. Like, there's not a lot of nuance to the combat system. If you can, like, mash the attack button, you'll get on okay. Which makes it really approachable. So it's really good to just, like, chuck on, give a controller to literally anybody, and they'll be able to play Shredder's Revenge, no question. So that is, it's a bane and a boon. But for longevity, I think it just needed just a little bit more. Like, Streets of Rage 4 gives you a little bit more to work with combat-wise. And it's the better for it, I think. But this is still easily A tier, no question. Where's it going to live? Probably there. I think that's a good spot. Yeah, if you like old school retro side-scrolling beat-em-ups, you've now got 2 here that you need to try out if you haven't already done so. But surely, if you like that genre, surely you have played Shredder's Revenge. If you haven't, that's crazy. Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap. Another classic. This is a classic that I had played a little while ago, hated, decided to revisit this year to see if I had missed something, if I felt differently looking through slightly older eyes. No, the answer is no. I fucking hated this game. Absolutely hated it. This would go... Ooh, I'm going to stick it right there. And I know that might be sacrilege because I know a lot of people love this game. A lot of people have a lot of nostalgia and affinity for the original. I never played the original. I only played this remaster. Again, it comes back to that time wasting for me. Like, there's this game, like, no shit. You'll start the game, you walk along, you come to a door, a set of doorways, you walk in a doorway. If it's the wrong doorway, it just boots you back to the start of the game. And you're like, what? What just happened? So you might try it again just to see, like, what? No, it boots you back to the start of the game. Oh, fuck, okay. Well, then I'll try this second doorway. Like, I'll go down the corridor a bit and up this to this other stage and down this level, and then I'll try this doorway. No, wrong doorway. Back to the start of the game. Oh. No, thank you. I've got shit to do. I fucking rage quit that super hard. Super fucking hard. Disgusting. You threw up a little in your mouth. I know, not in my mouth, in your mouth. Don't throw up in my mouth. That's gross. Yeah, I know you love it, G. Yeah, it was not for me at all. There's so... I don't understand why people would waste, even back in the day, why you would waste your time like that when there were other better platformers available, even on the same system. Yeah, didn't like it. Wonderling. This is a very simple auto-runner platformer. Again, another little 2D platformer. If you enjoy the genre, Wonderling could be worth checking out. It had a neat idea where you don't control the movement. It moves by itself, and you just have to control the jumping. So there are a lot of jumping puzzles where you have to time jumps and time, like, rebounds off of walls and things like that. Excuse me. If that sounds appealing, I would definitely recommend trying it out. It's got a demo available that you can have a shot at. I didn't get on. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was a bit like meh. It was okay. I liked it better than Alex Kidd. I probably liked it better than Superman 64. I think it would probably live, or maybe there. I'd say I'll stick it around there. Not a bad little 2D platformer if you like the conceit of the auto-run thing that's got going on. Freedom Planet. This one surprised the shit out of me. Absolutely surprised the shit out of me. Again, did not expect to like it. Another 2D platformer. A lot of 2D platformers this year. This is very much modeled on Sonic. The Sonic series, that style of gameplay. I think... and this is going to be, probably get some hate, I think Freedom Planet was a better Sonic game than Sonic. I think it did what Sonic was trying to do better than any iteration of it that I've come across. I did not expect to like this game and ended up thinking it was really fucking good. And I'd be keen to play more of it. I'm trying to think where I'd rank it. It's probably high B. It's probably neck and neck with Super Mario Bros. 3 for me. It's got a really good look to it too. The graphics are really good. Gee, if you haven't played this one, man, this is another one you've got to try out. It was, yeah, really solid. Really enjoyed it. Mega Man 11, another one in the category of games that I've tried and hated and wanted to revisit to see if I was missing something. I was not missing anything with Mega Man 11. I did not like this fucking game at all. I love Mega Man. Contrary to popular belief, if you've watched me play it, I do genuinely love Mega Man and I love the games. This does not feel like a Mega Man game at all. Like, it feels like a fan-made... not even an homage to Mega... It doesn't feel like Mega Man to play. It doesn't look like Mega Man. It doesn't sound like Mega Man. It doesn't control like Mega Man. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's trying to be. I hated it. I really did not like this game at all. It's going to be way down in the D tier for me. I'll probably put it there because I liked it better than these. But yeah, I did not it did not take me very long of revisiting it to remember why I didn't like it in the first place. If you enjoy Mega Man, just go back and play the originals, man. Like, there's so many Mega Man games. They're so good. Don't waste your time on 11. It's just not worth it. Blazing Beaks is a roguelike. I'm doing this while Sam isn't watching. Yeah, you're damn right. He's never going to watch it later either. He'll never know. He'll never know what's going on in here. Blazing Beaks is a roguelike, similar to like Binding of Isaac, similar to Enter the Gungeon. It's got a real Enter the Gungeon kind of vibe. It was fine. It didn't do anything new. I didn't think it was better than those games. I think if you like that genre and you like that style of gameplay, Binding of Isaac, Enter the Gungeon, they're just far better experiences than Blazing Beaks was. It was just utterly... like, it was fine. It didn't look particularly good. It was just forgettable. Like, it was its biggest crime, is it just didn't do anything particularly interesting. And as soon as I finished playing it, I couldn't barely even remembered its name. So it would probably sit, I'd say, there for me. Katana Zero. Oh, man, this is a fucking cool game. Katana Zero, it also... I went into this expecting it to be like an action platformer, which I really enjoy action platformers. And it looks fantastic. The soundtrack's fantastic. The vibe of the game is really fucking good. But it's not an action platformer. It's a puzzle platformer. And that kind of like wrong-footed me a bit when I played it, because that's not at all what it looked like, and it's not at all what I was expecting. I don't love puzzle games. If you do like action platformers and puzzle games, holy shit, this is a fucking no-brainer. This is a must-play for you. For me, I still liked it. Like, I still had a really good time playing it. I'd probably stick it... Gosh, where would I stick this? Maybe there? That's just for me, though. Like, I think it's so much... This will be some people's A and S tier game. It really, really will. It's like on that kind of... The quality of the game is fucking top notch. It really, really is. It's there for me because I don't really like puzzlers. But if you do like a puzzle game, if you have a look at the trailer or have a look at some screenshots of Katana Zero and you think it looks as good as I think it looks, yeah, go and play it. It's a very unique game. I've never come across anything like Katana Zero before. So very similar to games like Dredge, games like, where's another one that was really unique? I can't remember where it was now. Anyway, yeah, it's just a game that's not really like any other game. Like, I can't think of something else to compare it to describe it to you. You just have to come and check it out. But yeah, really, really good. So I played that one back to back with Kazi and the Wild Masks on the same stream on the same night. Had a really good evening. That was a fucking loaded... That was a stacked evening that evening, because that was 2 banger titles. Kazi in particular, again, really surprised me. I've been on the hunt for a 2D platformer that I like. I got along really, really well with Kazi. Very much influenced by the Donkey Kong Country games. But the controls, man, the controls are slick. They are on point, no momentum-based nonsense here. It's precision, it's gorgeous, and because it's such a precision, such a precise control scheme, it allows them to do things with the platforming that you can't really do in momentum-based platformers, I think. So there's some really insidiously fiendish platforming levels in Kazi to try and chew your way through. But yeah, fantastic game. This will probably be... I think it's A tier. I think it probably will go there for me. I think there. Yeah, go and check it out. 2D platformers, if you like them. Kazi's a must-play, I think. The only thing about it I don't love is the art style. I wish it had like... It's got like a weird look to it that I don't... I almost wish it was kind of like 16-bit retro... aesthetic, like more like in line with Shredder's Revenge as an example, or in line with Katana Zero, but apart from that, brilliant game. Another brilliant platformer. A lot of fucking platformers this year. Jesus. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. We played this with G in the chat, as well as all my other friends at our gaming retreat this year. Had a blast. I loved the experience of playing this game. I didn't contribute. I think I probably hindered more than helped when we played it. But it's a gorgeous game. Really inventive levels. Very forgiving life system that encouraged you to try. Like, I was never afraid to have a go. And feel like I was wrecking everybody else's time by doing so. I want to see more of that in the platforming genre for sure. Very difficult. Boss fights, I think, were probably way too long. They had too many phases and went on and on and on for too long. But apart from the boss fights, I think the rest of the game, while difficult, was still just really good. It's just a fucking good platformer, man. That's going to probably sit up here in the A tier, maybe B, high B. Probably high B. Did I like it more or less than Freedom Planet? Ooh, probably more. I'll probably stick it maybe there. Maybe there. Just to annoy G. There we go. No way, Jimmy. Whenever we needed someone to spend all our lives, you were there. Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing I was good at. Gladius, 40k Gladius, Relics of War. I played this with Alan off stream, just the two of us, because this was like, he pitched this as, it's almost like Civilization, but 40k, but Warhammer 40,000. Which, I love Civilization, and I love Warhammer 40,000. That sounds fucking great. And it was good. It was just a bit too simple. Like it's a good entry level, I think, into the Civilization style of game, into the 4X genre. If you know somebody who likes Warhammer 40,000 and they have never played a Civ game before, this would be a really perfect way to get into those games. I feel like it probably doesn't have a lot of longevity because of the simplicity, because of just how much they've stripped the mechanics and like Civ is a stupidly bloated game. I'm not going to say complex because it's not. Civ's not a very complicated game, but it's a very bloated game. There's a lot of shit in there, a lot of micromanagement that probably doesn't need to be there. That's just kind of a carryover from old series habits. All of that has been cut away, but probably too much of it has been cut away with Gladius, I think. But still fun. I still had a really good time playing it. I just doubt that it's going to keep my interest for an overly long amount of time like the way that Civ does. That's all. Like, I can play a game of Civ for dozens of hours. There's no way in hell I could do that with Gladius. I get bored before that came around. So I will probably think... I think it's definitely B tier. I enjoyed it more than Age of Empires 4. So I'd say I'd put it about there, I reckon. Lilac Wars. This is a little bit of a cheat. I've played Lilac Wars before. It's one of my favorite games on the Nintendo 64, but Scott had never played this game in his life. And when he visited me this year, we sat down and we did a run through of it and had a blast. Like, just reminded me how good this game is, how well it has aged. This is, yeah, such a fucking good game. This is probably up in S tier for me, personally. I think it sits right up at the top on the rail shooter. Yeah, just a great game. If you're watching in America, Star Fox 64 was its non-PAL, it was its NTSC name, but we got Lilac Wars because of some rights issues at the time in PAL regions. But yeah, fantastic game. Really, really, really good. If you haven't played it, I think it's on the Switch Online. I'm pretty sure it's on Switch Online. Yes, it is, because that's how we played it. Yeah, we definitely recommend going and giving it a shot. It holds up really, really well. As does Perfect Dark. This is the fucking easiest S tier game of the night. It's just, where does this live on the S tier? I'm going to say probably there. And in fact, I think Lilac Wars would probably be there for me too. Man, Perfect Dark is just so fucking good. It was blow the roof off good back in the day. and it still holds up. It still holds up surprisingly well. Something that funny that happened when this was released, because this is the game that made them create a adult category on the Nintendo Switch Online system, and I was like, why the fuck is this in the adult category and GoldenEye's not? Like, they're basically the same game. Like, I don't understand. Well, it turns out Perfect Dark is a lot more violent than I remember. And that was a surprise to me to discover. Yeah, it's fucking blood splattering everywhere in that game. Did not remember that from back in the day. But anyway, thanks, Mum. Good job. Yeah, great game. I'd like to revisit this one. There's every chance that you will see this on my tier list again next year, at the end of next year, because I would love to go back and like play through the whole thing to completion again, just to re-experience it all, because it's, yeah, just a great game. Multiplayer king. Oh man, I mean, it's just banger after banger after banger in terms of multiplayer games on the 64. I feel bad for anyone who missed out on that, who had siblings and friends and missed out on that console. Here's another banger from the console, Jet Force Gemini, a rare classic. Not a terribly well-known or loved game from Rare, but I owned it back in the day and loved it. Revisited it this year. Had some woeful control issues playing it with a modern controller. I took another swing at it off stream with the Nintendo Switch N64 controller. Had a much, much better time with that controller. So if you're going to play this, I would say you are definitely going to need a Nintendo 64 input of some kind, because modern twin stick controllers just do not gel with this game in any way, shape or form. And you will have a bad time, like I did. Where to put it? It's definitely... Oh, is this A tier? Let me think. It's probably on par with... I'd probably stick it about here, I reckon. High B. Really good. Oh, the hits just keep coming. Man, I played so many good games this year. Like, sometimes I just play some absolute dog shit, but this year there's been a lot of really good stuff that I managed to play. Just looking at some of the things that are coming up too. Resident Evil 4 I played for the first time. This was originally supposed to be a bit of a joke because I hate horror. I can't stand horror games. I'm a big wuss. I can't fucking stand zombies of any kind. And so Scott and I thought it'd be funny if I did a stream of playing Resident Evil 4. But I actually ended up really enjoying it, surprisingly. Like, really enjoying it. Much, much more than I thought I would. So the joke kind of didn't work out. You didn't get the cheap laughs that I think you were supposed to get. You probably got some cheap laughs at my lack of skill with the game, but you didn't see me ducking under the table or anything. Yeah, great game. Amazingly good game. I would probably rank this... Ooh, this is going to be probably in high B territory. I think we're talking... Gosh, I think we're talking the highest B. It's pushing A for sure. Definitely pushing A. I think I just need to play more of it. I think if I play more of it, I can see it moving up. Although I can also see at some point it's going to get to a stage where I tap out as a horror. You know, I'm not being a horror fan, especially not being like a body horror, that kind of shit fan. I can already see there's going to come a point where I just go, all right, I'm done here with Resident Evil 4. But up until that point, I think I'll really, really enjoy. I've loved what I played of it so far, for sure. Bolt gun, 40k bolt guns. This is like a Warhammer 40,000 homage to classic shooters like Doom and Doom 2. Those like sprite-based, like Wolfenstein, that sort of era of shooter. I had a good time with Bolt Gun. I think the problem was that it is a little bit monotonous. Like the level design, especially in Doom, like the level design is just phenomenal. Like and Quake, like all of id Software's early games, the level design is almost the star of the show. And Bolt Gun just didn't have that. Like the levels were very large, spread out, a lot of outdoor areas, and the gunplay felt good, sounded good, looked good. but it was very samey. You didn't, you were doing the same thing for quite long stretches of time. That's how I felt about it anyway. So it did get a bit monotonous to play. I think it was very, very fun in short bursts, for sure. This is going to be another B tier. We're racking up the B tiers here. And it's probably going to sit... Gosh, I'd probably stick it there, I think. Yeah, just about there. A good time. If you like that style of shooter and you like Warhammer 40,000, definitely give it a go. I think, but like I said, it's I think it's good for it's there for a good time, not a long time. That's how I kind of feel about Bolt Gun. Kirby's Adventure, another classic that I managed to play this year for the very first time. I played this with my daughter, and we loved it. We really enjoyed this game. In fact, she wasn't expecting to like it and ended up really liking it. And I didn't know what to think, having never played an old school 2D Kirby game before. Actually, no, I tell a lie. I think I played the original on the Game Boy once. But yeah, really got on well with this one. Beautiful game too on the NES. I think this is the NES's best looking game, I reckon. I can't think of anything that looks better on that system than Kirby's Adventure. Where would I stick this? Probably... Oh, I think there. Yep, I reckon about there. Sort of the top end of the B tier. Yeah, great time. Really good time. Surprisingly good. Jazz Jackrabbit. We took a look this year at some games that had released 30 years ago on a given month. Jazz Jackrabbit was one of the games that I played as part of that little experiment. And man, did I not like this game. I remember playing this way back in the day too, and not being overly fond of it back then. I still was not overly fond of it this time. It actually made me a bit motion sick playing it. Some of the levels, and I don't really get motion sickness playing video games. I do get a lot of motion sickness in real life, but never playing games. This one was difficult in times to get through for me. Yeah, didn't really have a good time with it though. The controls were interesting. The levels design was pretty poor. I mean, we're talking early days of the PC platformer. It's one of the first PC platformers. You can't expect miracles. But having said that, by the time Jazz Jackrabbit came out, there was a lot of other 2D platformers to draw from. And so I don't know that they necessarily get off that lightly. So we'll go probably... no, I'd probably put it there. Low C, maybe D. Maybe D above Mega Man. Yeah, I think that feels right to me. Right, Mario Party, the original Mario Party on the Nintendo 64. Ah, yes. Okay. This was so much fun. I played this 4-player on stream with Sam, Scott, and Dom. We had a fucking great time. That was a fantastic evening. One of my highlights of the year on the channel was playing Mario Party with my friends. And I still love it. It's one of my favorite games again on the Nintendo 64. I thought it was still fun. Still gives you all the same feels, all the same vibes, all the same aggro. Yeah, just a great experience. I still think that no game does the Mario Party experience better than the original Mario Party trilogy on the 64. Although I hear Jamboree is quite good, so I need to try Jamboree. I'll get round to that hopefully in 2025. But until then, these original games still reign as the king for me. So this is going to be A tier for sure. It's probably going to be at the top of the A's, I think. Yeah, that feels right to me. Really, really good. It's pushing S for me. Oh, look what's next. Oh, Elden Ring. Right. So I played Elden Ring for the first time. I've never played a Souls game before, ever. No, I tell a lie. I played Bloodborne once for about half an hour or so. Didn't like it. Had always been curious about the Souls games, but had never actually pulled the trigger on trying one. And so this year I decided to take a run at Elden Ring. Had no idea what to expect. Didn't know if it was going to be like way too difficult for me, just brutalize me and put me off. Didn't know if I was going to get on with the style of gameplay it was. Like, had no real insight into the game whatsoever. And I fucking loved this game. I loved it. I loved it so much. My big regret this year is not having the time to pour more hours into this, because this is a game I could see me just playing and to the exclusion of everything else, like just playing Elden Ring. If Elden Ring had to come out when I was in high school, sort of tail end of high school, when I had so much more free time, man, I would have no-lifed the shit out of this game. But these days, the enormity of it is a bit intimidating to me. Maybe that's what's put me off playing it. But, gosh, I had such a good time. I need to find a way to get back to it somehow. This is S tier. This is unquestionably S tier. This is going to go right up at the top of S tier. You know what? Oh, man. It'll sit there only because of my nostalgic attachment to Mario Kart 64. This is probably an unfair ranking, really. Because, like, there's not going to be anything that's going to be able to throw this out of here. If we're talking purely new games that I haven't played and don't have a nostalgic attachment to, then I think Elden Ring would 100% be here. So let's do that for argument's sake, for the sake of the list. Incredible game. I mean, there's nothing I can say about Elden Ring that many others haven't already said. If you've played it, you know. Yeah, I need to find a way that I can get back to it and put the time into it that it demands. And there's not many games that I would do that for, but Elden Ring is certainly one of them. Alright, Pokemon Snap. This is the original Pokemon Snap after having the crushing disappointment with new Pokemon Snap in 2023. I went back and played the original one this year, just to remind myself of what I loved about it. I played this on stream, and this was a fantastic stream. Like, I had so much fun streaming this game. It was so nostalgic for me and nostalgic for the people watching. We just had a great time. It was just one of my favorite streams I've done this year. And I still love the game. It still is fun. It still holds up. The formula still works all these years later. I just wish new Pokemon Snap had have nailed it. Like, had it just done what this did again, I would have been happy with that. But they had to fuck around with it, didn't they? They had to fuck around. This is... Oh man, is this S tier? It's probably not S tier. It's probably there. It's probably A tier. I'll stick it there. I'm trying to be very choosy about my S tier games. Otherwise, we're just going to front load this list. But yeah, great game. Loved it. Space Marine 2. Man, the hits. The hits keep on coming. This is crazy. Wow. This was such a good game. This sort of came out of nowhere for me because I hadn't played the first one. Didn't really have much interest in the first one. And I didn't have a whole lot of interest in the second one, to be honest. And I can't remember what made me pick it up. But I did pick it up, I think, on launch day. And I am so glad I did, because this was a fantastic time. This is such a... Like, this is what I've been missing in video games. There's so much that Space Marine 2 understands about the modern audience in my age bracket that most of modern gaming just doesn't seem to fucking get. Space Marine 2 got it, right? For the most part. There's a few little niggles in there that I wish were different. There's some things in there that I would change. Some things about it that I didn't like. But for the most part, for the framework of that game, it just nailed it. It was just... took me back to a different time of playing games. And this is a sentiment echoed by a lot of people when talking about Space Marine 2. Is it very reminiscent of like Xbox 360 third-person shooters. It gets compared to Gears of War a lot. And I think that's a good comparison. Now, I think technically Gears of War is a better game because cover-based shooting is fun, and I really enjoy cover-based shooting. But Space Marine 2 was such a good offering. It was just such a fun time. I just wish there was a little bit more nuance to the combat, to the melee combat. I didn't love the melee combat, and you do a lot of melee combat in this game. It's not bad. It's just very button mashy, for lack of a better word. There's not a lot of, again, not a lot of nuance to it. This is an A tier game, absolutely, no question at all. I would probably stick it. Gosh. Click up. I think it's better. I enjoyed it more than Half-Life. I enjoyed it more than Streets of Rage. Oh, man. I think it's going to live there for me. Settle about there, I think. Yeah, great game. Looks fantastic. Yep. Just take us back. More of that. Games industry, if anybody sees this, more of that, please. Just, like, do that. Just take that and do more of it, please. That'd be fantastic. S tier game, you think, G, for Space Marine 2? I can see how for a lot of people it would be. Yeah. With those couple of little gripes for me fixed, it would 100% be S tier. If it had better melee combat, S tier, no question at all. But for me now, it's probably sits there at the moment. But I mean, that's a fucking A tier. It's still an incredibly good game. Link's Awakening. This is I've put it in the list. I didn't play a lot of Link's Awakening, to be fair. Oh, you mean Zelda you were talking about. Zelda's Link's Awakening, this is S tier. You really liked the remake. I haven't played enough of it to... I'm not even terribly comfortable ranking it, to be honest, because we only just kind of started it, Nala and I, to prep for Echoes of Wisdom. And I liked it. I thought it was quite good. I love the look of it. I think it looks fantastic. I think it's actually one of the best looking games on the Switch. It does have some technical issues. There's some frame rate hiccups. There's some stuttering, that sort of thing. A bit of odd graphical glitches here and there. But for the most part, I don't put it in S and move on. It's not S for me. What's interesting is that I didn't like the original Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. I owned that back in the day, and I played it after I played Ocarina of Time, and did not get on with it at all. So this was, for me, a coming back of like, no, I need to give that game a proper shake and see what it's all about, because I know it's quite well liked, especially now in retrospective. A lot of people like it more now than they did back then. I just don't feel like I can really give it a fair ranking yet. So I'm probably going to stick it... I'll put it right in the middle of B for now. I'll stick it... I'll probably put it about... I'll stick it there. I'll put it there for now. Because what I played of it, I thought was very, very good. Yeah, I'd like to get back to it. Again, it's just time. It's all time. Everything's about time. Undertale, I played for the first time this year. Again, this was one I played with Nala. This is one of Nala's favorite games ever. She's been wanting me to play this for years. I've kind of just... I don't know why I've never gotten around to it, to be honest. But I finally got around to it this year. We played it together. Not all the way through, but we played a chunk of it. And yeah, it's good. I can see why she loves it. I can see why a lot of people love it. It's not I wouldn't say that's my cup of tea. I don't know that I'll go back and finish it necessarily. I know it's a short game. But I thought it was very funny. I thought the writing was very good. It's just got that kind of like quirky sense of humor, you know, that I'm probably too old for, to be perfectly honest. But I could see the love. I could appreciate the love. So, where to put you? Where would Undertale go? I think Undertale would probably sit there for me, from what I played. Again, having not played the full game, from what I played, it would probably be about there, in the B tier. Diablo! Played the original Diablo. Probably, I've played it before on the PlayStation. Didn't have a great experience with it. Played it after Diablo 2. That didn't help. But I really wanted to go back and give the original a proper try on the PC and see, you know, just because it's such a classic. It's in one of my favorite series ever. It didn't feel right that I hadn't really properly played it. So I gave it a proper shake this year, and it's good. It's aged. I mean, there's no question that it's aged. I don't love it anywhere near as much as Diablo 2. But I was surprised at how much fun it still was. Like, and how, for the time that it came out, I can see why it would have just blown minds, you know, like, just having never played anything like that before. So I would probably say This will probably sit right up at the top of the B tier list, maybe? No, maybe it might creep into A, sorry. Yeah. I reckon probably there. That's about where it will live. Alright, let's blow this up. Oh, hey, we can see the tail end. Alright, how we doing? Oh, an hour 45. I'm killing it. Alright. Doom. So Doom is another one I revisited this year for the first time in, what, nearly 30 years? Over 30 years? How old's Doom? It must be just over 30 years. I haven't played this since it first came out. And even then, I only played it briefly. My dad's a big Doom fan. He had it. So it was in the house. I probably played it back then. I don't remember liking it all that much. But wanted to come back and try it now. This is, without question, a fucking S tier game. I couldn't believe how well this game had held up. This is held up so fucking well. I had a great time. I had so much more fun than I ever thought I would. And if you watch that stream, I think you can tell that. It was great. Really, really, really good. If you've never played Doom, go and check out the re-release on Steam, Doom and Doom 2 together as a 2-pack. That's what I played. And yeah, like, you're missing out if you've never tried it. It's a classic for a reason. Really, really, really good. Now here's where it's going to be difficult, because now we come to Quake. And I played these, like, I played Doom, and I was like, well, don't think I've ever played the original Quake single player. I've played it multiplayer back on the Nintendo 64, I think. But I'd never played it single player. So I wanted to try that. And I fucking loved that too. And ever since I played it, I was like, do I like this more or less than Doom? I don't know. Like, because that's the big question, right? It certainly was back in the day. Like, which one's better, Doom or Quake? And even now, sitting here, I'm like, I'm still debating which one I had a better time with. So Quake is also, I think, S tier, no question. It's also an S tier game. It's just whether it goes here or it goes here. I think for me, I actually think it goes there. I think I said the opposite at the time in my video on the stream that I played it on. But I think, having come away and thinking about it, Quake has more, it's more of a game. It's more like Doom is kind of like a run and gun, go, go, go in a maze. And I don't really love the maze part of it. Like the running around trying to find the right colored key for the right colored door. Just meandering around to find your way and getting lost and that sort of thing. Quake has the same setup, but the levels just seem to be better designed. They're not maze-like, but still open enough that you can, you know, go multiple different paths. Like, it's still, I don't know how to describe it. It's just better designed. And it makes sense, right? Because Quake's like however many years after Doom and Doom 2. Like, they've learned a lot of lessons from those first two games, and you can see that in Quake. But there's a bit of puzzly gameplay, not too heavy on the puzzles, just environmental puzzles, that if I'm in the mood for that kind of game, Quake gives me that, and Doom doesn't. Doom has more like frustrating, time-wasty kind of puzzles, whereas Quake are actually like thought-provoking, how do I figure this out kind of puzzles, if that makes sense. So I think, I mean, they're basically neck and neck, but still, the point is, two ancient first-person shooter games played this year in 2024, and they still made like fucking S tier rank for me. That's crazy. That's insane that they are still that good and still hold up that well. Both incredible games. Deadlock I tried out. I am not a MOBA fan, mostly because I'm not a competitive gamer. I'm not a competitive person, other than with myself mostly. I just don't find a lot of fun in it. And obviously, MOBAs are a super hyper fucking competitive game. Like, that's the entire genre exists on being competitive. So I've never got on with Dota or League of Legends or anything like that. Deadlock was a third-person shooter MOBA, which got me in the door because I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I just want to see how that plays. I just want to see what that looks like. I think I played this on stream with my buddy Gary. we played a few rounds against progressively more and more difficult bots. Those games against the bots, I had a lot of fun with. The hard bots gave us a good run for our money. They really put the pressure on. Like, we walked over the top of the easy and medium. But the hard bots, like, we sort of ran up against a bit of a wall. Like, oh, man, these are actually difficult. And so I think if there was one step higher than hard bots, I think I would actually play quite a bit of Deadlock against bots. Against people, I remembered exactly why I don't like that genre. Because I just got fucking destroyed immediately and repeatedly. It was just feeding the enemy team, and it was like, I'm just making this worse for everybody. I remember why I don't play these games. So I'm sort of in two polarizing trains of thought with Deadlock. I loved it against bots, hated it against human players. So I'd probably stick it. It's probably going to be a low B, maybe. Ooh, no, it's creeping up towards a mid B. Still creeping. Maybe there. I'll probably stick it there for me. If you like MOBAs, if you like League of Legends, if you like Dota, I think you will absolutely need to give Deadlock a shot. The third-person perspective and the third-person shooter aspect of it certainly puts an interesting spin on that old genre, but a welcome one, I think. Anyway. Empire of the Ants. This is an interesting pick because I had a really good time playing through the demo of this game, which is a sizable demo. They give you a really good chunk of game to play through on the demo. But I've read that the actual game is very humdrum and repetitive and bland, and there's just not much going on. Which sucks because I loved the demo. I had a really good time playing the demo. I played that again in a video you can go and watch. And I think it's obvious that I had a great time with it. So if I was going to rank it just only on what I played, it would definitely be up in the high Bs for me. I'd stay probably about there. But I just don't know if I will go back and play the full game. Because, you know, $60-70 is a lot to shell out for a game that's being fairly universally panned. And I don't put a whole lot of stock in critic reviews, personally. I tend to more like at user reviews, but everyone seems to be fairly unanimous on their complaints on this one. So, which is a bit of a shame, because what I played in the demo was a really unique, interesting RTS. And it's been so fucking long since we've had an RTS game that's good. It's more of like a Pikmin style game than anything, but yeah, I don't know if the demo's still out, but if it is, I'd wholeheartedly recommend it, giving it a try and seeing what it's like if you like Pikmin especially. I missed it. You didn't like Dredge much? I loved the idea of Dredge. I wanted to like Dredge. There was a lot about Dredge that I liked, but I felt like it needed more. Like, I died and my last save point was like 60 minutes earlier, and that pissed me right off. So I just think it needs a more forgiving, like some sort of autosave checkpoint system other than you must dock in order to autosave, because there can be big stretches of time between when you dock and when you don't. So that's the only thing that held Dredge back for me. I loved everything about it except when I hit that wall and I died and I had to start from way back, and I just went, nah, fuck this. Dawn of War, I played with Scott this year on the channel. Had a really good time. We got annihilated. Holy shit, did we get annihilated. Oh my god, it was fucking embarrassing, to be honest. I can't remember. I think we went like... we played 4 games, and I think we lost 3 of them from memory. We got destroyed. Absolutely fucking destroyed. Still great, though. I still love it. Still, it's definitely A tier. There's no question it's A tier. It's probably going to sit... or maybe... there-ish? Maybe? Maybe there. I'll stick it there. I think about there. Great game. Like, great system. It's just, I think my old man brain and reflexes have kind of lost the, like, the go RTS. Like, I don't love that style of RTS, like StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3. that like go as quick as you can. Dawn of War is very much like that. I think Company of Heroes gives me the same experience, but it's more my pace. It slows the pace down much more, whereas Dawn of War was very, very fast paced. Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara was a surprise hit for me this year. I did not know what to expect going into this, other than it was an old arcade brawler, side-scrolling brawler, again, a la Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, Shredder's Revenge, that sort of thing. I fucking loved this game. Holy shit. I really, really enjoyed this. And I regret missing it back in the day now, to be honest. Now, to be fair, I think the funny thing, the game lets you just have infinite continues, but it keeps a record of how many coins you would have put in if you were playing this in the arcade, which I think is so clever. That's such a fun way to replicate that and give you kind of like a high score almost to shoot for, trying to get less and less. I would have spent a lot of money on my playthrough, like 60, 70 bucks or something, I think, by the end of it. But I loved it. I had such a good time with it, and I would play it again, no question. I'd be keen to play co-op. This is A tier for sure, I think. Where would I put this? I feel like... did I like it? I think I liked it more than Streets of Rage 4. Yeah, I think I did. It's very simple, it's very button mashy, but there's enough other stuff going on in the game to offset the simplicity of the gameplay. Like items and like choices at the end of levels is quite interesting as well. It looks gorgeous, like it's a Capcom, when Capcom were at like the fucking peak of their 2D sprite work. So it's a beautiful looking game. Very reminiscent of Street Fighter 2 in its style. God, where would this live? Probably there, I think. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you like that genre, don't sleep on that one. If you ever see it for sale on Steam, snap it up and give it a go. Wayfinder. Wayfinder. Wayfinder was originally a free-to-play MMO in development, but then they pivoted because of a number of development issues and acquisition issues and things like that. So they pivoted to make it just a paid, like a regular sticker price action, third-person action game. I love third-person action games. I thought Wayfinder visually is really cool. Like, it looks really nice. The art style is really cool. Very World of Warcraft-y. Very Pixar kind of style to it. It's still mired, I felt, in Identity Crisis. Like, it still has so many holdovers from when it was a free-to-play MMO. Things like, you know, like currencies and like different materials that you get as rewards that don't tangibly mean anything because they're supposed to be spent at a vendor that's in a free-to-play MMO. Like, there's a lot of holdovers like that need to be really cleaned up if I think this game's going to survive. And honestly, I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be forgotten. I think it's going to be lost. I think it's admirable that they did this much development to pivot what they had made into a product that they could still release, but they haven't gone far enough. They need to keep going to make it a much cleaner, like a more, what am I trying to think of, pure action game. And strip out all of the MMO elements altogether, and I just don't think that they're going to. And I think because of that, it's going to turn a lot of people off. So unfortunately, I had high hopes for this one, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be down in the C tier. I'm probably going to stick it at the high C, I think, somewhere around there, I reckon. And the combat's really fun too, which is frustrating because I had a good time with the actual mechanics of the combat. You know, there is a really good action game in there somewhere buried under all the MMO trappings that they just need to clear off, you know. Oh, and it's a visual novel too. Holy shit, I clicked through so much fucking dialogue in that game. Jesus Christ. They need to clean that shit up as well. It is exposition, like front-loaded fucking exposition, novels of the stuff. Yeah, man, no thank you. Okay, oh, here we go. Super Mario 64. So I played it very briefly back in the day, didn't like it. This is yet another one that I wanted to revisit to try again. Another one that I was not expecting to like. I figured I'd play this, everyone would get a cheap laugh at me having a bad time with it on stream, and that would be done. N64, you're going to need to add a tier above S tier. I really am, man. This is my surprise of the year. Like, I was convinced, 100% convinced, that I was going to hate this game, and I didn't. And not only did I not hate it, but I actually had a really good time playing it. I really enjoyed it. And this was probably my favorite stream of the year as well. That if you go back and watch my stream of this, it just had such a good atmosphere in this one, such a good vibe. There was a lot of laughs. Sam hung out with me live and played it along because he's a big fan. He hasn't played it a whole lot, but he has played it a lot more than me and likes it. Yeah, it's just like a lot of people in chat that were joining in on the fun. It was just such a good vibe playing this, and it really reminded me of why sort of like it was like the S tier of side-scrolling streams for me. Like, it's exactly the vibe that we're trying to create on the channel. It all just came together in that Super Mario 64 session, and that elevated the game for me because I was having so much fun playing it and also playing it with the people I was playing it with. So, and that's what it's all about, right? So yeah, this was great. I couldn't believe how good it was. Now, I'm probably going to put it at an A for now. Hear me out. But that's because I've only played that little bit of it. But I fully intend to actually go back to Super Mario 64 and play more of it. That's one of my goals for 2025, is to actually do a playthrough of Super Mario 64. I liked it that much that I want to go back and play it through. So it'll be interesting to see where this one lands, if I manage to do that, where this one lands for me next year on next year's tier list. But for now, it'll be at the top of the A's, I think. It's definitely pushing S. It's just such a playground. Like, it really is. It was such an amazing introduction to the third dimension in gaming. Like, and I wish, like, I played it very late in the Nintendo 64's lifespan, so I'd played a whole ton of other games and gotten that wow factor out of those other games for years. And so when I eventually got around to Super Mario 64, it was, again, a genre I don't like. I don't like Mario games. I'd seen, the 3D thing had been done by then for me. So it just didn't have a lot to offer. But going back to it now, there's just so much joy. And you can just see how much fun I think they had making this game and putting it together to show off what 3D can do for gaming, Yeah, really, really good time with that one. Monster Hunter Wilds. Sam and I played the beta this year on stream. I am very keen to play this next year. I don't know how much of it I'll get played. Again, it looks like another huge game, as all Monster Hunter games are. A big time sink for someone who doesn't have a whole lot of time. But I really enjoyed what I played, except for the fact that the beta, it was really scuffed on PC in particular. There was this was not just a me issue. It was a widely experienced thing with a huge graphical glitches that were going on PC, and I experienced all of them in my playthrough, as you could probably see on the video if you go and watch it. The gameplay itself is the most fun I've had playing Monster Hunter. I really loved the gameplay. I thought it was fantastic. But the graphical hang-ups certainly hindered my enjoyment of it. It was funny, like I got a lot of laughs out of it, but I couldn't really fully experience the game the way it was supposed to be experienced. So sadly, that brought it down quite a bit. I think it'd still be in B. I'll put it maybe here for now, but that one, like when they sort all that shit out, that is an S tier game in the making. Keep an eye on Monster Hunter Wilds. I think Monster Hunter Wilds, I've heard it said that it's going to be like what Elden Ring was to the Dark Souls series. I can absolutely agree with Monster Hunter Wilds being that for the Monster Hunter series. Like the game that brings that series to the mainstream to a certain extent, that everybody will see and hear of and be able to play and actually engage and get on with. Yeah, fucking great game. They need to work their shit out and fix it. That's all. Fix it and finish making it. Mega Man. So taking the trophy for my only rage quit. No, my second rage quit. Wonder Boy. My only on-stream rage quit this year. Mega Man. The original Mega Man on the NES. Look, I still enjoyed it. Like, it was hard as shit. It kicked the absolute fuck out of me for an hour. And you can go and have a good old laugh at that if you want to. The video is up on the channel if you want to see a game just completely break an adult man. But I still loved it. I still had a good time, despite all the frustration. When I went away from it, I was still smiling, and I still was thinking about it in a positive light. So this is definitely going to be, I think, A tier for me. Gosh, where would I put this? It's just so brutally difficult. Like, it is a brutal game. And I was glad to see when Sam played it that he was dying a lot as well. That made me feel a little bit better, because Mega Man is Sam's thing. He is the Mega Man on the channel. I'll stick it there for now. Yeah, but holy shit. That might be the hardest game I've ever played in my life, I think. It would be up there. It would have to be... It might take that crown, I think. Crazy. Good, but... Oh my god, what a middle finger. Pokemon Pocket. I don't know why I put this on the list. It was something that I played this year, so it went on. I think it's mainly on here because I really enjoy the updated version of the battling system of the card game. Ripping 2 packs a day. I haven't opened Pokemon Pocket for weeks now, sadly. I've gone off my pack ripping binge, but what I played of the actual battles, modernizing that game and making it like a 4 Pokemon instead of a 6v6. It was a 4v4 or a 3v3, I should say, because you need 3 wins to win. I think that was so much better. Like, changing the energy system to a more modern energy system a la Hearthstone was much better. I want to see Magic the Gathering get an update like Pokemon Pocket. And that might be a really sacrilegious thing to say, but I think it would really benefit from a similar overhaul, the way they took on Pokemon Pocket and just streamlined it and made it more modern, gave it some modern gaming sensibilities, and threw away some of those old archaic designs that just aren't needed now. They're done. We've moved past them. As for where it goes, I mean, this is a hard one to rank, right? Like, it's Pokemon pack opening simulator. Look, I'll put it there. Maybe there. Let's put it there. I'll go there. But the battling is good. Okay, the battling is good. Couple of free packs a day, nothing wrong with that. It's for nothing. It's a fun little card game. And if you like the trading card game, again, that's a no-brainer to check it out. Halo 2, oh my lordy. So I played this with Scott. This was a full playthrough, Scott and I did. We did Halo Combat Evolved last year, and this year we did Halo 2, and had just as much fun, if not more fun. What a game. What a fucking game, man. It's still so good. Playing it with Scott was such a great time. I played it with Scott originally when I played it the very first time back on the original Xbox. So that was just like a good shared experience to have all over again. We had so many laughs. God, that's, again, one of my highlights of the year was playing through Halo 2 with Scott. So you can watch that campaign playthrough on the channel. They're all there. And I loved every minute of it. And Halo 2 itself as a game is still so good. It's still so good. It's probably going to be... Is this S tier? I think it's S tier. I think I'm going to put it there. Yeah, just phenomenally good fun. It's incredible how well these old games hold up. Like, I'm constantly surprised when I go back and revisit these as to just like fucking hell, like these are still good. These are still so good. And Halo 2 is probably the best one of that batch that I replayed, and it felt like it came out yesterday, right? The design and the gameplay and everything like that is just still top, best in class. Really, really good stuff. Sonic X Shadow Generations. This is a game, unfortunately, that I bounced off pretty hard. I didn't hate it. I didn't love the way the camera angle whips around really fast. I didn't love, again, how it's go, go, go until it's not, and then it's stop and do some, you know, precision 3D platforming, which is even worse than precision 2D platforming. When it was good, it was very good. When it was like an interactive roller coaster, those sections were a lot of fun. But it was just like, man, the camera angle, again, it was another game that almost made me feel a bit motion sick. It sort of gave me a headache, the way it just flicked around so rapidly. And the gameplay itself, there just wasn't enough of those good moments for me. I know this is one that everybody has really enjoyed, but for me, I just didn't really get on with it as well as I wanted to. And I bought this one pretty close to release because I looked at the trailers and saw some gameplay and was like, yeah, man, that looks so good. That looks so fun. I want to like that. And I just didn't. So it's probably going to be, I think, C tier for me. Did I like it better or worse than the original Sonic? I think I liked the original Sonic better. So I would probably put this... Ooh, maybe there. We'll stick it there. Just because those parts where it was good were a lot of fun. Hunt Down. The title, it's very hard to read on this little icon here that says Hunt Down. This is a modern retro, a 2D. How would you describe this game? It's very unique. Another really unique game. It's a bit like, it's not Contra. It's a retro 2D shooter, but it's got like 2D cover mechanics that are really well implemented. The gameplay is tight. It feels fantastic to play. The guns feel really good to use. This game fucking rules. Like if you're an old school 2D action platformer, again, a fan of that genre, Hunt Down is a must play, I think. This is an easy A tier game. Man, where would I stick it? Did I like this? Probably... Ooh. I think I liked it better than Streets of Rage 4. I think I liked it better than that. I liked it better than that. I think that's about where it lives there. Yeah, great game. Really, really solid. Really good. Hunt Down. Check it out. Steel Assault was another modern retro action platformer that I played this year. Again, another kind of... not similar to Hunt Down, a bit more of like a traditional 16-bit action platformer than Hunt Down is. I didn't get on as well with Steel Assault. I found it had some readability problems. Some of the things were difficult for me to see. For example, what I could and couldn't jump on, stuff like that. Very, very difficult. Too difficult for me. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It looks fantastic though. Like the actual visuals of it are really well done. It looks incredibly good. I would probably stick it probably down in here somewhere. Maybe there. I think about there. If you like action platformers, but you don't mind a bit of difficulty in them, and you don't mind a bit of chaos on the screen, like lots of shit happening, then yeah, Steel Assault's well worth a look, I think. Something that I don't think is well worth a look is Horizon Chase 2. I really enjoyed Horizon Chase Turbo when I played it last year. Had a really good time with it. I figured I'd have a good time with the sequel. It looks good visually, or at least I thought it did when I looked at some footage, some trailers and things. But this was a completely forgettable arcade racer. It was worse than the first one, I think, in every conceivable way. There is no way that I would recommend this one over the first one to anybody. It wasn't bad. It was competent. It just, like, Horizon Chase Turbo already exists, and you can probably get it cheaper. And it looks more visually striking. It has a more clear vision of design. It better apes the games that it's inspired by. It fulfills its mission goals so much more clearly and better than Horizon Chase 2 does. Horizon Chase 2 just feels like, honestly, like a bit of a mobile game brought to Switch, which I think it probably is. So yeah, I didn't have a great time with this one. It was fine. I didn't hate it. It was fine. I liked it better than Burnout Paradise. I probably liked it better than 1080. It would probably go there, I think. Yeah, in the C. Good old Fortnite is next. I played Fortnite this year for the very first time since it launched. I've only played Fortnite, I think, when it first came out. And it was okay, but it was a bit like Minecraft with guns. I didn't love that aspect of it at all. I liked the idea of it. I liked the Battle Royale concept. I just didn't like the building aspect of it, and so I moved on pretty quick. But my buddy Justin, you've probably seen him on the channel if you watch us regularly. He is a Fortnite fanatic, absolutely loves the game, and I said, well, show me what Fortnite's like these days, and we had a great time. Like, I honestly had a lot of fun playing Fortnite with him in no build mode as a duo. Yeah, I would do it again. Had a really fun time. Like, I think Fortnite gets a lot of shit in the gaming sphere, but it's a good game, man. Like, it is. Like, it wouldn't be as popular as it is if there wasn't a good game to kind of back that up. And I think Fortnite is a good game. I think it's mired in shit. I think there's, like, the microtransactions that get pushed in your face in the menu. I mean, the menu itself is a fucking mess. Holy shit. I couldn't imagine being somebody fairly new to gaming and jumping into Fortnite because you'd heard of it and being confronted with that menu screen. You would just fucking alt-tab out of there and play something else. So that part of it I fucking loathed, but the actual game itself I had a lot of fun with. I'd probably put this... It'd be a high B for sure. I think it would probably sit... It'd sit around here somewhere. Maybe there. I'll stick it there for now. Again, only because I haven't played a lot of Link's Awakening yet. I can see this moving up when I do, but I feel like that's about where it lives. Yeah, it's good. It's Fortnite, you know. You know. If you know, you know. And everyone knows. Red Alert 2. Oh, man. One of my absolute favorite RTS games I revisited this year and fucking loved it. Like, it's... again, another old game that just holds up spectacularly well. I think that's particularly true of RTS games, right? Because there really isn't a modern iteration of the RTS that you can kind of look at as an evolution of the formula. It just doesn't really... like, we've got StarCraft 2, and that's kind of it, right? Like, there's nothing. It's a dead genre. So if you want to play an RTS game, you've got to go back to when they were at their peak. And they were at their peak for a reason. Like, they're still peak RTS. They're still peak strategy gaming. They're great. And Red Alert 2, I had so much fun playing this on stream. This is an S tier for sure for me. And it's a very high S tier. I'm probably going to throw it in... Oh, man. How far up do we go here? It's probably... I like it better than Lilac Wars. It probably sits between those two, I think. Somewhere around there is my feeling. Yeah. Amazing. Amazingly good game. If you love RTSs and by some miracle you have not played Red Alert 2, go and do it. If not for nothing else than the soundtrack, right? It's one of the greatest soundtracks in video gaming history, I think. So good. Oh man, the hits! The hits! This is crazy! Path of Exile 2 now. Holy shit. Alright, so Path of Exile 2, where do I even begin with this one? It's not... I liked Path of Exile. I didn't love it. I played it when it first came out, hated it. Played it a second time, I think only just last year. Liked it a lot more. Just didn't have the time sink into it that it clearly needs. It wasn't very newcomer friendly. It wasn't as complicated as I think it gets a rap for, to be honest. Like, I didn't find it overly intimidating. It was more the time investment, I think, that you needed to really sink into it to get anywhere. And also, like, it didn't have a great story. Like, I get really invested in the lore and the story on these action RPGs. Obviously, Diablo being a favorite of mine. I fucking love that world. I love that lore and that story. Path of Exile, the first one, just did not have that at all. I didn't like the setting. So there are a few things that I bounced off of, but the gameplay itself was good. I didn't mind it. Path of Exile 2 is not a completely different beast, but a very, very different beast. I wasn't sure what the point of having Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 coexisting was. I was like, wasn't number 2 just going to straight up replace number 1? No, it doesn't. It's a significantly different game in terms of how it plays. I would almost argue that it has more in common with Elden Ring than it does with Diablo. It's very much like an isometric Souls-like, almost, with a bit of like the Path of Exile action RPG DNA thrown in and mixed in. Turns out that is a combination that I fucking adore. I have loved Path of Exile 2. I have thrown myself into this game, and I'm having such a good time. I'm really loving it. Oh, look out. Scott's on the chat. What's this nonsense of Jazz Jackrabbit being D tier? For shame. You're right. It probably should be E tier, but I don't have an E tier here. So D tier is where it lives, unfortunately. I'll make a tier lower and I'll put it in there for you. Path of Exile 2. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm having so much fun playing it. I want to keep playing it. There's some things, it's in early access at the moment, and you can tell that it is in early access. There's some things that need tweaking. There's some things that need changing. I can see that. There's some stuff in it that just feels a little bit off, that needs some tuning and some balancing. But the bones of what is there is something really, really special, and something that hasn't been done in any other game. I think Path of Exile 2 is an S tier, and I think it's at the head of my S tier. I think. I'm just trying to think. Man, I feel like I enjoy a lot of what Elden Ring has to offer more in terms of lore and story and immersion. Even in, like, I love the gameplay. Like, they're basically neck and neck for me. Like, it's really hard to put one above the other because I love them both so much. I'm going to put Path of Exile first because I've poured more hours into it. I wish I could pour more time into Elden Ring. I have fucking carved out time to pour into Path of Exile 2. I've made the time, often to my own detriment and sleep routine, just so I can put more hours into this game. And I haven't played it a lot. I'm still working my way through the campaign. I'm in Act 2 at the moment, but I'm so excited for where this game is going to be once it's finished development. Once it's finished early access and it's a full release, it's going to be something incredible. I really genuinely believe that. Yeah. Can't sing enough praises for it. Like I said, a few things I'd tweak, a few things I'd change, but on a whole, really like it. Balatro. Balatro is a great little Slay the Spire like a card game roguelike. I think it's more involved than Slay the Spire. I think it's cleverer than Slay the Spire. I think it's got more going on. I think the concept of it is smarter than Slay the Spire. I don't know that it is as much fun as Slay the Spire. That's the only catch with it, I think, for me. But it's a very, very, very good game. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone who enjoys Slay the Spire or digital card games. The way it uses a standard deck of cards and then just modifies it as you go through your runs is very, very smart. I feel like this is maybe an A tier, a low A tier. I think I'm going to put it there. It's a very good game, a very clever game. And I think you should check it out if you get the chance, especially if you like Slay the Spire. All right, Outrun. Here we are. We're in the last 3 of the year now. Outrun, man. So Outrun was an interesting experience for me in that, again, a classic arcade racer that I'd never played, so I was keen to go back and play it. Immediately got hit with a massive wall of difficulty. This is a brutal game, a really hard game. And almost bounced off it with the difficulty, but managed to, mostly because I was making a video, right? And this is a part of a series that we're doing now, or that I'm doing especially, where I'm playing the first 30 minutes of a game and seeing what my impressions are after 30 minutes, right? Because that's sort of, I think, enough time for you to get an idea of this is a taste you like or it's not, right? I don't believe that, you know, if you get served a bowl of dog shit, you should have to eat the whole bowl of dog shit before you decide whether you don't like the dog shit, right? You just take a spoonful and decide that tastes like dog shit, I don't want to eat anymore. That's perfectly logical and fine, I think. Completely rational way to go about games and media in general. So I almost bounced off Outrun completely in the first sort of like 5-10 minutes of it, but because I was committed to making this 30-minute video, I was like, all right, well, no, come on, let's keep on, and we'll play it out, right? I'm so glad I did, because once I got over that difficulty hurdle, I actually ended up really enjoying this game. So much so that I can see myself going back to it every now and then just to take a crack at it and see if I can get a little bit further and a little bit further. I was really surprised. So this is probably, yeah, it's going to be an A tier for me. I think I'm going to put it probably there. At the bottom of the A's, but still in the A tier. Really great arcade racer. So glad that I've played it, and I can check it off my list now to say that I've done it. I'm glad that I stuck with it and gave it the chance to win me over, rather than just going, fuck this game, and quitting and doing something else. There's probably a moral in there somewhere, right? Pilotwings 64. I had not really played either of the launch titles for my favorite console of all time. I hadn't played Super Mario 64 really at all, and I hadn't played Pilotwings 64 at all whatsoever. So I wanted to, one of my goals this year was to go back and play both of those launch titles. I did that. I played Pilotwings just this week. You'll see the video of that coming out very shortly. By the time you watch this, it might already be out. And I had a fun with it. Yeah, I had a really good time playing Pilotwings. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anything about the game. I'd never played the SNES version. I was like, yeah, I just had no idea what I was getting myself into. Didn't know what the gameplay was. Didn't know what to expect. And ended up having a really fun time. I can see... I think back in the day, I never played it because I just didn't understand the appeal of it. Like, I had fucking Lilac Wars. Like, why would I want to play a game where you just hang glide around and gyrocopter? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, when I can zip around in an R-Wing and shoot robots and other ships and things. But I can see the appeal of the challenge-based gameplay of Pilotwings. And I ended up having quite a good time. And in fact, it was supposed to be a 30-minute video, and I think the timer ran out, and I was like, just one more go, just one more go. So it had that kind of hold on me by the end of it. So yeah, I can see why the series is well loved by a lot of people. It's not one that you hear talked about very often, especially Pilotwings 64 doesn't get a lot of love, and I think that's a shame, because I think it was a lot of fun. It controlled really well. Again, one of the first 3D games released on a console ever, which when you play it and feel how that game controls is kind of nuts. It controls better than a lot of like flying games now. It's crazy. It looks great for the time. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Really, really good. So I'd probably put it. It's going to be, I think it's B tier, but I think it's really high B tier. I think it's probably there. I feel like that's about where it lives. Maybe there. No, I'm going to put it... No, fuck it. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to commit. I'm going to put it top B. Yeah, really fun. Alright, and the last game, the last new game that I played for 2024, which I actually just played today, the day that I'm streaming this, for the very first time. It just snuck onto the list, and it's probably going to be the last new game I play until the end of the year, because I'll just be playing more Path of Exile and probably more of this, because I fucking loved Marvel Rivals. This has, like, Overwatch... When Overwatch decided to not be Overwatch anymore, it left this huge gap that it had muscled its way into in the first place, and now that it had left, there was just this huge vacuum there for a hero shooter. Now, lots of hero shooters have come along trying to impersonate Overwatch and trying to be what Overwatch was, and failed because Overwatch was there and it was the king. That's not the case anymore. Overwatch is you know, long gone. Overwatch 2 is a shadow of what it used to be. So much, in fact, that they've recently tried to start taking steps towards making it back to what it was, a 6v6 shooter, which is hilarious, because if they do that, then there's no fucking point in Overwatch 2 even existing. But Marvel Rivals has stepped in, and I think slotted into that gap that Overwatch left pretty much perfectly. It's a really, really good hero shooter. It's really fun. It's fucking free, which is always a bonus. The powers that the heroes have are really interesting, the way they work. I had a lot of fun today just trying out different heroes, and I didn't feel especially punished for trying out different heroes, because we're still in the infancy of the game, right? Like, nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing in Marvel Rivals yet. So it's the perfect time to jump in and just try it out and experiment and find what works and what doesn't work for you. You can clearly see some of the archetypes from Overwatch represented in Marvel Rivals. Like, there's no question at all that when you look around, it's like, oh yeah, they're supposed to be Tracer, they're supposed to be D.Va, they're supposed to be whoever the robot was that shot the spheres. I can't remember his name. Like, you can see them if you squint a little. One of my particular favorite iterations was that Hulk, when you defeat the Hulk, he reverts back to Bruce Banner, who has a pistol and is really weak. Just like D.Va, when you defeat her in the mech, she pops out and has a pistol and is really weak. I thought that was really, really clever. Like, things like that their take on the Overwatch tropes, I suppose. There's one more you played this year you haven't ranked. You've played yourself. True, man. True. That's every year, though. That's not new to this year. That's not especially, you know, that's not 2024 centric. That's just a constant. So Marvel Rivals, yeah, I loved it. I can't wait to play more. I'm really keen to play more. I think this is an A-tier game. I genuinely do. And I'm a big fan of Overwatch, or I was of Overwatch back in the day. And I can see myself ending up being a big fan of Marvel Rivals as well. I actually think it could just be the newness factor of it. Oh, does it sit here? I think it sits here. I think that's actually where it goes. Very close to S. It's very high A. Again, could just be because it's shiny and new for me right now, but I had a blast playing that. I can't wait to get back in, and I only played through like 30% of the roster too. It's a nice chunky roster with some good variety to it. Adds melee as well. A huge melee game in Rivals, which Overwatch never had. There was no such thing as, like, you know, close. I think you had Reinhardt, and that was about it for melee characters. Rivals, like, half the roster are melee characters, which means that there's a lot of, like, big fist fights and scraps going on in addition to the shootouts, which is really interesting and different. And I think it sort of wrong-footed me to start with because I wasn't used to it. But once I got into it, yeah, ended up thinking it was quite cool. But there we go. That is my 2024 ranked. Everything done. So if we look at the top 10 that I played this year, we've got Path of Exile, Elden Ring, Mario Kart 64, Perfect Dark, Red Alert 2, Lilac Wars, Advance Wars, Reboot, Halo 2, Quake, and Doom. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom, look at that. 10 S-tier games all in a row. I had a bumper year. I really played a lot of really good stuff this year. Like, you can see the list is, like, so top-heavy from B up. And there's very little below B. And that's great. That's the way I want to keep it, you know, ideally. So what I'm going to do now is just very quickly have a little chat. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to comment on, but just a quick little chat about what I'm going to be doing differently in 2025, because I'm going to be, I feel like, quite significantly changing the way I play video games. Apart from the poor choices I've made, it's a great list. True. I played some great games. I just didn't rank them well, that's all. So next year, I played a lot of stuff this year. Like, I tried a lot of stuff. And that tends to be how I play games most of the time. I like to try a bunch of different things as much as I can, because I just don't get a lot of time to sink into really deep diving into a game. So I tend to, like, have 1 or 2 or 3 sittings with a game and then move on to something else. That tends to be how I end up playing games. But I'm going to be stepping away, I think, from that next year, especially now that on the channel we're doing a lot more streaming. And I want to continue doing that next year, because I'm loving doing the streaming with you guys. Like, that's been a real thing I look forward to every week. And especially now that all of us as a group are doing a lot of streaming here on the channel. It means that there's a lot of live streams happening all the time, and we're able to sit in on each other's live streams, and it's just such a good vibe. Like, it's such so in line with what I think the vision for Sidescrollin was right from the beginning, finally come to fruition. Like, I experimented with a lot of stuff this year. I tried a lot of different things. Tried doing, like, toy collecting and some Warhammer stuff, some retro Warhammer stuff, all other different bits and pieces, some interviews, things like that. And some of that was received really, really well. Some of it nobody gave a shit about. That's okay, because I had fun doing it regardless. But I think I'm taking, like, a hard pivot and doubling down on especially, like, the retro gaming aspect now. And I think that's unanimous for all of us on the channel. But for me in particular, I want to try and do more full playthroughs of games next year. I want to play less games, but be more selective about what I play and commit more to playing through them in their entirety, rather than, you know, doing like this sort of thing here where I'm just playing like shitloads of different stuff in one-offs here and there. I'm still going to be doing one-offs. I still love doing my 30-minute look at games. Like, that's a lot of fun for me. I think it's gives you a good look at a game that maybe you haven't played before, or you can just have a giggle at me having a hard time in. I'm not going to stop doing that, but I want to get more into doing like full playthroughs. So especially like going back and looking at, again, retro games, revisiting some of my favorites, or continuing to look at old retro games that I've just completely missed and taking a more deep dive playthrough of them. So some that I've got on my list, I'm not making any commitments here, but I'm just giving an example of some that I've got on my list that I'd like to play in 2025. I've never played Majora's Mask. I'd love to do a full playthrough of Majora's Mask. I mentioned before, I've never played through Gen 3 of Pokemon, Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. I'd love to do a full playthrough of Gen 3. I've never played a Metal Gear Solid game. I'd like to go back and have a playthrough of Metal Gear Solid. Games, stuff like that. I'd like to have a playthrough of Perfect Dark. Go back and do a playthrough of the campaign. Like, there's a lot of games that I'd like to revisit more fully and more in their entirety. And so that's sort of the way I'm going to be angling towards for how I do things in 2025. So I hope you guys are all along for the ride, and you'll get a kick out of coming along, because I think, like, that's so, for me, nostalgic of how I played games back in the day. Like, my biggest memory, like core memory for playing games like in that way, is Ocarina of Time. Like, that was a shared experience for me that I played through start to finish with a friend, and it was all the better for it, I think, than if I had have just played that game by myself through. Things like, GoldenEye I played through with my brothers and my dad. Things like, Pokemon Snap I played through with a friend of mine. Like, there were all these games that all these top tier memory games for me that I love so dearly were made because, or like they are top tier because of that social aspect to them, that the fact that they were a shared experience with somebody else. And I would like to try and have those shared experiences again with all of you, playing through some of those games that I either remember really fondly or I've just never tried and always wanted to. So that's sort of where I'm looking at going in my gaming habits for 2025. So hopefully we'll have a much smaller tier list by the time the end of next year rolls around, but I'll be able to speak more fully towards them, and you guys will have come along for the ride on a lot of them as well. Otherwise, if I think that's it, right? There's nothing else in chat there, so I think that's probably going to do it for me for this evening. It's been a long one, so I appreciate you hanging out, everybody. Thank you so much for watching us all throughout the year. I'll be back this week playing Diablo 2, continuing that playthrough with Alan and Anna. The other guys will be around doing their streams as well with whatever they've got going on. A whole different mix of stuff going on at the moment, so make sure you come on back and check that stuff out. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, if you liked hanging out and seeing all the things that I played this year, make sure you drop down and give it a like down the bottom if you haven't already done so. Subscribe if you want to see more of what we do here. Otherwise, I'm going to see you all next time. So make sure you keep on side scrolling. Take it easy. Catch you then. Bye-bye, everybody.